Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are live from the apocalypse. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back. We are a tabletop RPG actual play Twitch channel. And the way that we do things around here is we generally ask that if you would like to give us money, if you like what you see here, that you please donate it to one of the charitable causes that we are currently platforming instead of giving it directly to us as donations or bits. There are a few ways you can do this. In the stream title, there is the command that will call up the link to pull up the donate. To pull up the donate link, all you have to do is do !donate. The bot will be posting that periodically throughout the game as well. And a couple of the other players also have Extra Life accounts with their own incentives if you want to donate to them. So you can do !Rouge donate or !Della donate and donate directly to their campaigns and their incentives there. The links will tell you a little bit about that. But yeah, so we are streaming our game Nephilim, which is a sci-fi game using the Impulse Drive system. This is our third episode, and we're going to get pretty much right into it now. So when we left off, actually, this is a move that we should use for the game called Previously On. And when we use this, we get a chance to sort of recap what happened last session. And it's also a good chance for people to rewrite hooks, which I know some people have done recently, and this could be a good opportunity to introduce the audience to them. So previously on, when your group starts a new episode, which we are not technically doing, but we can briefly go over what happened last session, and then we can talk a little bit about hooks. So last session, you managed to get your rich benefactor, Rashawn Neville, a former crime boss from Earth, off of the ring gate that you were stranded on. Your ship required repairs, it required fuel. Neville agreed to bankroll both of those things, at least enough of each to get you to Mars, where he wanted to go, with a promise of full payment upon his safe delivery to Mars. You managed to get him off of the ring gate. You did have an altercation with some of the elite agents of the Earth Coalition, who are called auditors. You were forced to kill a few of them, and that was not great. You didn't know they were auditors at the time. Most of the rest of the episode was personal conflicts with Rashawn Neville, who has not necessarily endeared himself to any of the crew of the Nephilim. Where we pick up with that, basically, we left off with Karis, the pilot of the Nephilim, and one of its most recent crew additions, receiving an encrypted communication from the orbital platform Takamagahara, letting him know that auditors will not be an issue for your crew moving forward. It has been dealt with. And Ellis had a late night conversation with Neville himself, where he did assure you that he had no ill intention towards any of you. He hoped you would not have ill intention towards him, and he also hinted at some deeper connections between Jaxper and Karis.
I mean, and then he blackmailed me, so no ill intention, but
a light blackmailing, maybe.
A little.
Yeah.
A black note.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's not a professional blackmailer. It's like, a hobby.
It's an artisanal blackmailer.
Exactly. He's not in it for the money. He just, he loves the craft. Yeah. Anyway, you have that information now, and you emerged from your journey pretty much right in the orbit of Mars, with its giant red opalescence filling the viewports of your ship. You are now, I believe, trying to figure out where you are going and what your plan is, and I believe Ellis had a plan to call a meeting. a family
It did.
meeting, which I can only assume would involve Rashawn Neville since he is now part of the family.
It does. We also had to establish, because so this is the day after dinner where potentially Karis has done or not done a thing. Like, so
Right, yes. So I assumed that the family meeting was going to take place over dinner, and then we would establish whether Karis did or didn't do the thing that Karis might or might not do.
That checks out. Okay, so we're
Cool.
not like getting off the ship yet. It is like everyone eating together in the kitchen.
Right. Yeah. I imagine you probably basically came, excuse me. I imagine you probably came up with an excuse as to why you couldn't quite dock yet. You also kind of don't know where. Just realized that the dice rolling channel is showing me saying that I might go to Della's after this. We're a professional.
Why is the dice rolling channel doing that?
We're a professional Twitch channel. I had the wrong window open in Discord. It's not a big deal. Let's move on.
Party at Della's.
Yeah, I kind of wish I hadn't put your address in there, but it's fine.
I'm gonna do some crime to you that's gonna make what Karis is gonna do seem mild. Don't put my address out there, man.
Please do not dox your players, Mulgus.
Yeah,
Yes, for our audience of it's us.
We're the entire audience. However, this video could go up for posterity on like YouTube later. So
that's true. We did get our first crazy YouTube comment recently.
Hell yeah!
I missed out on that.
It's out there, man.
It's not particularly pertinent, but it was very good. It was basically like, "Oh, you believe that space is real? No wonder you only have 8 subscribers."
Oh,
and I was like, I don't understand
Real
this.
flatter as shit.
Yeah.
magnets. How do they work?
Nobody knows. You can't draw scientists.
The eternal question. Anyway, so you so I imagine you probably came up with an excuse. You never really established where you were taking him. He requested Nephin range after talking with Maeve, because it's where Maeve's parents are.
No.
Well, never say never.
I mean, okay.
And so I imagine you were kind of like, well, the conditions aren't quite right for us to like enter the atmosphere yet. We just kind of got to figure a few things out. We'll be here through at least dinner, just as an excuse to have this conversation with him, since I know that was something Ellis wanted to do, and also something that potentially Karis might want to do.
I guess that wouldn't have been a hard
Karis is in charge of cooking dinner tonight.
Yes.
Karis is in charge of cooking dinner?
You shifted the chore wheel slightly.
Okay.
He probably just traded with Jaxper.
So we will probably need to establish then, since Karis is the one who's cooking, are you gonna poison Rashawn Neville?
Yeah, because that's gonna be before conversation then.
Well, okay. I mean, a couple of things that I feel obligated to point out here. On the one hand, you did hear from Takamagahara that you would not have to worry about auditors. So that's one concern eliminated. The other thing is, if you poison this guy and he dies, you're probably not getting paid. And you have enough, your repairs were good enough, and you have enough fuel basically to get you to Mars. What happens from this point on?
Wiring us money as soon as he steps foot on Mars? Isn't that the idea?
The agreement was upon safe delivery to Mars. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to like take one step off the ship and be like, all right, good enough, here's your money.
Right. which is why I have the ability to give my toxin the duration of 20 hours, and at the end of 20 hours, he dies.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So you are you are poisoning Rashawn Neville while you are cooking. Now let me just take a quick look here at the infiltrator moves. I just want to make sure that I understand how this is going to work. So you're spending a use, and you're going to create a custom toxin, which we established for you is pretty much your nanobots. You're basically putting some into the food so that he ingests them.
Mm-hmm.
It kills the target at the end of the drug's duration, is I assume the effect you're going with.
Yep.
And you're choosing the longest duration of 20 hours.
Yes.
Okay. You also get to choose an enhancement and a delivery method. I assume ingested is the delivery method.
Yep, ingested, and for the enhancement, it will leave no chemical trace.
Because it's nanobots. That makes sense. Okay. Cool. Yeah. All right. So you said about what is Karis preparing for dinner?
Karis is cooking some stereotypical sci-fi Asian fusion food.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, okonomiyaki, chicken and waffles.
Okay. All right. I mean, you're probably doing your best to approximate those things with like the like dehydrated ingredients and just like the really gross supplements that you basically subsist on when you're out here. You were just docked at the ring gate, but before you didn't really have a chance to load up on like fresh supplies. Before that, it'd been a while since you had been anywhere. We established that Ellis's death chili was the last of the meat that he had been holding on to for way longer than he should have been. But
I take that characterization personally. Thank you very much.
We spent a really long time establishing that as canon.
I know, and I'm still offended.
I mean, if we're calling it death chili, Karis probably didn't have to poison Neville.
That's true. You could have just fed him more of the chili. But yeah, no, you can definitely approximate this the best. Now, I think the only real hurdle to this would probably be because you're working with nanobots, you're not even really adding a substance into the food. I think the only person who might potentially catch on to this would be Jaxper. Because your nanobots might alert you to the fact that Karis's nanobots are doing something while food is being prepared.
I would love to roll. Would this be scope it out, or?
I think so.
Would this be calculating, or would this be like I would love it to be calculating. I feel like you can make a case for it being something else, but I think it's calculating.
I think it would be calculating.
Okay.
I just give Jaxper a really bad wink.
So this is definitely plays into my hook. So this gives me disadvantage, right?
If you want to give yourself disadvantage, yes, absolutely. But your hook can be activated without you feeling the effect. You could basically say, yes, this activates my hook, but Jaxper is so focused that it doesn't actually give him disadvantage. The disadvantage has to be willing you have to be willing to take the disadvantage either to just sort of make the situation more dramatic or increase the chance that you'll fail and get an XP. So the real question is how badly does Jaxper want to catch on to this versus how badly does Della want this to happen?
Yeah, I think at this point this actually has very little to do with noticing it would help protect his secret more. So yes, I don't think it actually activates the hook of I must keep his secret as I keep my own.
Okay, cool. Then you can roll calculating without disadvantage.
All right, so that is a 7.
That is one question, which makes sense. And we don't really have to worry too much about which one it would be. We could probably say, what should I be on the lookout for here? Or who's really in control? There are multiple ones that would work for this situation. But yeah, your nanobots, I will say, alert you to the fact that some of Karis's nanobots have entered the big bowl of food that you all sort of draw from around family dinner. It's usually just there's like a big pot of something that goes in the middle and everybody just kind of helps themselves. And you are aware that it has been contaminated with nanites.
I think Jackson's going to walk over there and be like, dude, what are you doing?
We have to take care of this somehow.
Take care of what? Take care of what?
He's not particularly savory.
No, but I don't think murder is going to improve the seasoning, as it were. I guess this is you're using your nanites to do it, man. That's gross. That's gross. Ew. A, ew. B,
Shh. Mine aren't like yours.
Like, this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. Just
don't eat the okonomiyaki.
I fucking love okonomiyaki. You get to poison the okonomiyaki? Jesus Christ.
Just go get the drinks.
No, we can't. Undo it. Turn them off.
I can't turn them off. They're already in the pot. Go get the drinks.
No, this is a bad idea, dude. This is a bad idea.
Just trust me. We'll be fine. Shut up and go get the lemonade.
We're gonna have another. Every time you kill a person, you make 3 more enemies. You dumbass. Why am I teaching you this?
No one's gonna know. How are they gonna know?
How are they gonna know?
How would they know? They're gonna know.
No one's gonna know.
They're gonna know. Okay.
So I think at this point, the conversation gets cut short as everybody kind of shows up. Neville enters the room. Excuse me. You guys are in the galley of the Nephilim itself, where there's basically just this big like metal table bolted to the ground with chairs around it, and then and then there's like the counter over on the side with like all of the different cabinets and things. This pollen is really destroying me today. Yeah, you have he basically just sort of wanders into the room, looks around, sees the 2 of you just kind of huddled together over the pot, and takes a big whiff of the air and says, "My, something smells delicious. What is that?"
It's supposed to taste like okonomiyaki and chicken and waffles. It's a bit more soupy than I had intended.
Well, I'm sure the taste will be spot on if the scent is any indicator. I'm very excited. I aside from the meal that we had on the ring gate prior to our departure, I've not had a true cuisine experience in some time.
I fix him a bowl.
Yeah, and I kind of figure at this point you're doling it out to everyone. And I figure, like, even though everyone is sort of ingesting the nanites, it's
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, we cannot eat them, right?
Jaxper, here's what we're gonna do. Jaxper's gonna do some straight like physical comedy here, and it's kind of like, oops, knock over the entire pot.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not. Yeah.
I like that. I was gonna say that I imagine even if everyone were to ingest the nanites, Karis would be able to control which ones activated and attacked the bodies of them and which ones didn't. So you could all eat them. Most of them would just eventually be purged by your body, but he could activate the ones inside of Neville. But yeah, I really I love the idea that Jaxper just kind of knocks everything to the ground. I think I want you to act quickly to try to make it look not like staged. Like if you don't want Neville to notice that you're doing this on purpose, roll plus slick.
Okay, now this absolutely is acting on the thing, because I'm like, no, nano bro, don't do nano stuff.
Right. Okay.
So so this is going to be at a -2. So this is going to look real bad
because of disadvantage.
Because of disadvantage and having a -1 slick.
Gotcha. So disadvantage is 3d6. Take the 2 lowest, not -1. Remember.
So you're gonna fail this. This is gonna
probably.
You're not. Yeah. Yep.
Oh boy.
Fucking look at that.
Yep.
Fucking look at that.
That is the worst thing you could possibly.
That is the worst thing I could have possibly rolled.
You got a
literally.
Can Karis like swoop the pot out of the way?
No, it's definitely happening.
I like the idea that you just dump it on Neville.
Yeah.
No, I think what happens. I think what Jaxper does is like making fixing his bowl, like just making kind of like aggressive eye contact at Karis, like just like scoop some up picks up his bowl and just slams it into the pot, like, oops.
I go to serve everybody's drinks and accidentally spill a little bit on Jasper's lap.
Okay, so the pot.
Food isn't cheap. What the hell?
Let's go through this. Yeah, let's go through this real fast because a bunch of stuff is happening at the same time. So the pot of food hits the ground, hits the floor of the ship, and just kind of goes everywhere. And Karis, you have the drinks. You're kind of like sloshing it over there. Neville is sort of standing there, bemused, like one eyebrow raised. Maeve, you were at the table, and I imagine it. You're sort of like, what is happening? Ellis, you've probably also picked up on what's going on here. Jaxper got a 1, so Maeve, I'm gonna say you're probably aware that he did that on purpose. You don't know why. He was pretending like it was an accident, but it was very obviously intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you don't comment on it, Neville's just kind of gonna take a seat at the table and sort of cross his hands in front of him and says, "Well,
Jaxper, do you not like okonomiyaki? I don't.
Nah, man, it was an accident. You saw, was a mistake that I made. Don't worry, I'll make something new and clean this up."
There was 10 food credits worth of bonito flakes in there.
You spent 10 food credits on fucking fish flakes?
No, it's totally worth it. That's actually completely worth it, and fuck it, man, I'll make it up to you. That's significant. Those bonito flakes make this dish completely. But no, I'll clean it up. I'll make something new. It's not going to be.
What the hell is going on, Abbott and Costello? Who the fuck?
Thanks, Jaxper, and Karis dead arms him.
Well, with your wages from this job, I'm sure you'd be able to buy even more bonito flakes. I wouldn't worry too much about the loss.
Mm-hmm.
I feel at a disadvantage, but regardless.
So Jaxper is going to clean it up and start making something new, and it's going to be like the pour water into a bag and shake things that you get at like REI.
Yeah.
And just hand those out to people.
Yep. Olive Garden soup that you just heat up in a pot. Like.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say probably that's about all you all have left as far as supplies are concerned at this point.
No one knows where the fucking bonito flakes were. I'm sure Karis kept those like in his room.
Definitely.
I think Karis just hid them from you, Ellis.
Under lock and key.
Yeah. Well, that's a good soup ingredient, right?
Yeah, but not a good chili ingredient.
Yeah. Everything's a chili ingredient if you try hard enough, Jack.
Yeah. Neville looks at you, Ellis, while all of this is going on, while Jaxper's preparing the new meal, and says, "Has a destination been confirmed? Are we?"
Well, I wanted to talk about that with everyone, given we seem to have some conflicting opinions on where we're going and where we might need to be and where you might need to be. But I also did want to, maybe have another chat about some things that you and I spoke about, Mr. Neville. In full light of the crew. So you and me had an interesting conversation, wherein you illuminated me to the fact that you appear to have some kind of leverage on, well, at least most of us, and possibly even Maeve. But I thought you might want to, so to speak, share that with the group, given you made some interesting allegations of our good crew members here, that they might want to hear themselves if you're trying to convince them as well as you convinced me the other night. So would you mind, I'm sure Karis is all ears as to why you are so pertinent to his continued safety.
This is not where I thought this was going at all.
Oh, it's about to get there real fast.
Oh no. Okay. All right.
I'm simply a cautious man.
I appreciate your caution.
I did take steps to put plans into place in case things were to go sideways. I sensed some reluctance early on in our contract to follow through, and I take full responsibility for the fact that some of the finer details were unsaid early on.
That is certainly a way to put it. Most definitely.
I take full responsibility, and I apologize to all of you for not informing you that it was Earth Coalition auditors who were after me. And I apologize for that. I regret that. I was hoping it would not come up, and I was concerned that you wouldn't take the contract if you had known that.
I suppose this heartfelt apology doesn't come with, a damage bonus pay.
I would be more than happy to renegotiate the terms of our arrangement, given how much more dangerous it became.
That's quite considerate of you. That's not exactly the details of our conversation that I was talking about, though. Again, maybe you could illuminate Jaxper instead on the particulars of why he might be interested in your furthered safety.
Well, I'm afraid that in the interest of everyone's privacy, I can't do that, Mr. Maldonado. Not without cause to, of course.
Oh, well, I mean,
the details. The details of the information that I possess about Mr. Sim and Mr. Mori, I would prefer to keep secret for their interests.
That gets close enough. That gets close enough. So you kind of dance around the issue a little bit, which is interesting, given you were a little more direct with me. But Jax, appears Mr. Neville here knows a good bit about your past and has shared that information with some folks that were Mr. Neville to come to harm, they would play a little bit of public broadcast on your past. And the same apparently is true for you, Karis, and me, though my history is hardly the darkened secret that Mr. Neville thinks it to be. So, that, just to clarify for everyone at the table, is that Mr. Neville here has taken it upon himself to blackmail, in effect, 3/4 of the crew. So I just thought that maybe the two of you might be interested in the details of that. He appears and feels quite safe, because if harm were to come to him, then all of our dirty laundry would be made public issue.
To be perfectly clear, one point of clarification, if you don't mind, it is not in possession of individuals.
Right. Yeah. No,
if I do not stop it, if I do not stop it from being broadcast out, it will be broadcast.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Your standard, safety switch. Dead man switch of public details.
All right.
It is simply an insurance policy, as I said. I feared for my safety, and judging by the antics that I've witnessed tonight, I was correct to do so.
What, with the suit? What was wrong with the suit? What? Huh? I haven't done the thing yet. What?
I spent an hour cooking that for everybody.
It seems to me that there would be only one reason why one member of your crew would desperately not want me to ingest a dish created by another member of your crew.
Oh, yeah, that is very surreptitious, isn't it?
Yeah, normally we only react like that if it was Ellis cooking, so it was a little strange.
Maeve, you're starting to hurt my feelings. One thing when Jax like that, I thought you and I...
Here's the deal, my dude. You're going to get off this ship far away from Nephin Range. And that's going to be the end of it. If I hear anything that from my past got leaked, if I hear anything from Karis's past got leaked, if I hear anything from Ellis's past got leaked, I'm gonna come for you. And I want you to think about what happened to those auditors. And I want you to think about what I could do to you. And I want you to think in how many different places they can find parts of your body. So that's all I'm saying. I fully intend to honor our contract. You say you've got a safety method? You've got your little safety protocol? Fucking fine, dude. If I hear anything got out, anything, I don't even care if it came from you. I'll fucking murder you. And everyone that related to you. So you should be very, very, very well motivated to keep my secrets and the secrets of my crew. Sound good, my friend?
You don't survive in my business as long as I have without being able and willing to keep people's secrets.
Sounds like you did a shit job keeping your own. So your own party decided to move against you. So I'm just going to end up, found you, by the way. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat. Do a better job with this stuff. I don't like you at all. I'm doing this job because it's my job.
Very professional.
But I invite you to not fuck with us.
Karis, did you have anything you wanted to add to the point?
I think Jax did enough speaking for the both of us.
I agree. I think Jaxper did a lot of speaking. I do have something I want to add, though, because you mentioned, Mr. Neville, that you've been in this business for a long time. And that's interesting. Because to me, it seems you've made a rather key mistake, which is that you've decided to threaten folks who ain't got much left to lose, with losing everything else. And while Jax has a good point, which is that if you were to do something to one of us, you do it to all of us, and we could find you, and we could hurt you real bad when that happens. But I think both of you have forgotten something else, which is that you're here right now, and you might have fancy friends, fancy places, a lot of news feeds on the take, and folks that owe you favors, and people you might be able to pay off to get here or there. But I know two things at the moment. One, you didn't have anybody better than us to turn to, which means you're desperate. Two, you didn't get off that station immediately, which means you got other shit you want to accomplish. Because you could have jumped on this ship and left toot sweet. Instead, you risk getting caught by somebody else, which means you got something else you want to do. You're not just fading into the blackness. You could have done that with anybody. Could have gone on a trawler, just gone out into the dark blackness of space, headed out towards Jupiter, disappeared. So you got drive, and you're out of options. And you're all on our ship. We're going to start here. And with the ease of a guy who's done this many, many times, I'm going to shoot him in the gut.
How elegant.
Okay.
They'd say,
right.
intentionally, I'm not shooting him anywhere that's going to kill him immediately. I'm putting a bullet basically as close as I can to like one side of his gut where that's going to get septic and bad, but I'm aiming away from major arteries, away from his spine. Like, I have no idea that Karis is trying to poison him. That's cute and great. That's not how we solve problems. Like, no, I'm going to make you dependent upon me right now. And I'm going to teach you what happens when you fuck with dangerous people in a dangerous place is you can be very fancy and like, oh, I'm going to ruin your life afterwards. Okay, you can die in a puddle of your own blood right here.
I'm very interested in this. That is definitely an alpha strike.
Yeah.
You're going to need to do pretty well for this to go down the way you want it to.
Yeah, I figured.
But go for it. Roll plus calculating.
Okay. It's a shame that I'm so bad at calculating.
We could have had all our money if you just ate that damn food.
Oh
Yeah, 'cause I have nothing I
boy.
can add to that, right?
What? Sorry.
I don't think I have anything I can add to that. 'Cause, yeah, that's not anything.
Probably not.
And there isn't
Just
a
calculating.
Yeah. Well, it's only a pistol, so I'm not like I'm blowing him to death over here. Like, it just probably isn't gonna.
or you could just miss him.
Yeah, that's fair. Which again, like, okay, let's see. Oh no, I missed. It just makes the dramatic point I just made less interesting.
Yeah, I really don't want to. I really don't want to undercut the dramatic tension of what just happened by making you miss. Although that would be sort of interesting. No, I think you shoot him in the gut, and he stops mid-sentence. That the sort of perpetual smirk that he always sort of has drops from his face. He almost immediately the color drains from him, and he opens his mouth to say something and just coughs up blood and kind of just drops like his head just like drops and he hits the table. At the same time that happens, the emergency lights start going off around the ship, indicating that there's something wrong with a system somewhere. So basically chaos erupts. You shoot him, he is bleeding, he coughs up blood, he drops unconscious, his head hits the table, and the alarms start going off where basically so summoning Maeve.
Maeve is panicking in like 6 different ways right now because one, what the fuck did all of you 3 just do? Like this is not the sort of stuff that Maeve has seen everybody get up to. You just shot the man. And now she has to go fix the ship.
God damn it! You predicted my next move so fucking well, which is definitely going to be like, all right, Maeve, plug that fucking hole. And let's have a new
I'm the closest we have to like a doctor on this ship.
I'm gonna do 2 things. I'm gonna do 2 things, and one of them's smart and one of them's dumb.
Because I don't know which that was, but it's definitely what Ellis was going to do.
The smart one is to grab Maeve, yell, "Go fix the ship," and shove her out of the room.
I'm assuming that's what qualifies as the smart thing.
Yes, that's the smart one.
I can't wait to hear the dumb thing.
The dumb thing is he's gonna go over there. Is he still alive, just like pumping blood out?
Yeah, I mean, not through his neck or anything, but yeah, his gut is actively bleeding. The wound is awful, and he is, like, coughing up blood. He is dying.
God fucking damn it. Jaxper is going to pull out a kitchen knife and open up one of his own veins.
Whoa, what the fuck, Jax?
And get some of his nanites into this guy and try to heal him that way.
Jaxper, what the fuck are you doing to this man?
I'm going to try to give him my blood nannies to heal him.
That is not a Tempest move, as far as I'm aware.
See,
which means we're gonna have to get creative.
I feel like this is an alien move. Honestly, I feel like I'm doing something weird as shit. It's gonna freak people out.
Absolutely.
So much for keeping our secret.
This man is in shock.
Yeah.
He's not remembering. Speaking as someone who has been in shock before, he ain't remembering shit.
Well, he already, I mean, if he's to be believed, he already knows your secret. Ellis is the one who's about to find out what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Or, to be honest, you don't have to tell me shit. Ellis isn't going to figure it out from you pouring blood into this guy. It's just going to be like, what the fuck has happened?
Yeah.
Only if it doesn't work.
So I think that is absolutely what this is going to be. I think you are going to, God, which one are we doing here? Exposure's limited. Okay, Into the Abyss makes most sense. You're staring and blinking into the abyss, looking for forbidden or forgotten knowledge, essentially the way to save this guy. So yeah, I want you to roll plus alien.
Let's do it. Son of a whore.
Oh boy.
Killing it today, we are. Oh yeah, remember to mark XP.
Yeah. Oh, I get to mark 2 XP. Damn.
Yeah,
sure
y'all are gonna
do.
advance real quick at this rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot the cardinal rule. Don't roll.
Before we get to there, while Will thinks of what's going to happen, I do want to explain that, like, this is something that I have been thinking about for 2 weeks, and that I know Ellis would have been thinking about all night, which is that this guy's been a problem since we met him. And he's a solution to one problem, which is he gets us off the ring gate and he gets us to Mars. And I understand the thing hanging over us has been like, yeah, but all that rest of the money is going to fix the ship. Yeah, we're already at Mars. We're close enough to, like, other solutions for that problem in Ellis's mind. Mm-hmm. But also, this is how you stay alive, is that you don't wait for the, oh, yeah, there might be 2 bullets, in the next fight, is that this is the loaded gun right now, is that this is a guy who's blackmailing everyone on the ship. He either needs to change his mind about that, or he needs to go. And, like, the concept that Karis can poison him, I have no idea that's even a thing that can happen. My thought is, yeah, go ahead, explain to everyone that you're going to blackmail them, and I'm going to shoot you in the gut, and then we're going to fix you, and then maybe your mind's going to change. Because you're talking from a position of a lot of power on a ship full of a bunch of maniacs that are super ready to kill you.
And then Maeve.
Right, and then Maeve.
And Maeve.
Who's going to be the one who saves you? Because you fucker, that was my whole plan. So I was like, Alice shoots him in the gut. Maeve, could you stop him from bleeding out, please?
God, this timing really sucks. Boy, oh boy. Okay. So what's going to go down is that I was going to give you the Abyss Stairs back. I was going to ask you a question from the list below, but instead, what is about to happen is you are going to be assaulted by the Abyss. And what that represents is the fact that this is the, there are a few, first laws of nanorobotics that were programmed into these things, and you are actively trying to, break the cardinal rule. Mm-hmm. You cannot put these in someone else. Your nanites just immediately start screaming at you and trying to lock down and be like, no, stop, can't do this, stop. And that is what you are being assaulted by when you do this. So I need you to roll plus alien again.
Ice Maiden is not my friend today.
She's a fickle mistress.
Oh my god.
Oh, shit. God. So I advance. That's cool.
That is cool.
I guess I'm gonna increase my freaking fuck. Fuck.
Can I smack him upside the head a little bit to help him? When you
there isn't a way to help.
Yeah, you can't help after the fact. You have to help before they roll. Here's what happens as you are watching this. Jaxper opens a vein and basically just starts bleeding all over Rashawn Neville. Immediately after that happens, and I'm going to say actually, I'm actually going to amend that. You pull out a knife and you go to open a vein to do what you just said. There is the most extreme security protocol programmed into your nanites kicks in. Jaxper drops to the ground, dead. So what you two see is Jaxper pick up a table knife and hold it up to his arm with the intention to cut, and then just drops to the deck, just completely white, lifeless, no breathing,
stone dead.
Yep.
So, all right. Before I say what I want to do, I don't know when I can undischarge my abilities. I know time has passed since I've used hacking and my microdrones.
You have access to those again. It's basically between scenes. You can get your discharges back when the scene that you're in ends.
or when
Okay.
you do recovery, which
Yeah,
we haven't
or
been
it-
doing that quite much. But
Well, recovery is like an in-action move essentially. So like recovery is if you want to get if you want to be able to use something that you already discharged in the middle of a combat, you can use
Right.
recovery to do that. But when the combat ends, when the scene ends, when you have some time to rest, you get access to those moves again.
Okay. So upon seeing Jaxper drop dead on the floor,
Yeah.
Karis kind of like tosses him off of Neville and over to the side and tries to like get into the corner of the room
Mm-hmm.
so that his back is kind of like covering what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to discharge my micro drones to hack into Jaxper's system to hopefully like boot him back up.
Okay.
while that happens, I'm gonna go to backup plan fucking E down the line of what I thought I was gonna have to do, and I'm gonna grab the med kit out of the kitchen
Sure.
and attempt to stop the massive internal bleeding that I caused in Neville. Just enough. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Like Karis ran to Jack, so I'm like, okay,
Yep.
well, I guess he's gonna solve the fainting problem that we just had.
Fainting.
In the meantime,
The fainting problem. No, I'm dead.
100% what
really
Ellis thinks is that he
obviously
thinks that
dead.
Jack's just fainted, and he's like,
Yeah.
that seems strange.
Uh,
He's just gonna like jam, fix a flat basically into the gut of Neville.
You're gonna have to keep your cool. I imagine Ellis knows first aid.
I've done this
This
before. Yeah.
This is not a first aid problem, but roll keep your cool to see if you can stumble through it. While you
plugged
roll
up holes in myself before too.
exactly, while you're rolling that though, Maeve, you kind of get shoved out of the galley by Jaxper into that storage area with the lockers, and the engine room is just beyond that. So yeah.
This guy's gonna die.
This
guy's gotta die.
Fucking comedy of errors going on in the kitchen today. God.
Mark and XP.
What has happened to Dice Maiden? Which one of you insulted her? Because she's furious with us.
She's very upset. She's very
Oh,
upset.
Okay.
I rolled
Okay.
well.
You did. Okay. All right. So we'll circle back to all of that going on. Maeve, you get into that locker area, and then the door seals behind you. Beyond that is the engine room. And as you open that hatch, you realize exactly what the problem is, and it is bad. There is something has come loose, and the engine is venting hydrogen into the engine room.
Oh no.
You are venting your fuel into the ship.
Oh no.
And for continuity's sake, we'll say that it was the thing you were desperately trying to tighten when Rashawn came in and talked to you, and you told him all about your family.
Wait a second. You already said that broke on me once.
Did I?
Yeah, that's what dropped us out of the ring gate system in the first place and added a delay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I'm onto your tricks.
So what did you just fix it with chewing gum?
Well,
No, I fixed it with Jaxper. I made Jaxper tighten it for me.
yeah. I'm gonna
Very
say
strong.
I'm gonna
Strong.
stand by what I said, because these repairs were super rushed.
Rude.
We did basically establish that you basically did fix this with chewing gum, because you sent the repair crew away due to the emergency escape situation you found yourselves in. So you've been wrestling with this one seal pretty much for this entire journey, and something keeps happening, but this time it is way worse. This time you are venting fuel.
Okay.
So the first thing you're going to have to do is not breathe.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have like stuff for, especially we're a spaceship. We'd probably have, though it probably any gear we have for that sort of stuff is designed to be like take a while to get on.
Well, I mean, you're in the storage area. I'm gonna say that you can absolutely just grab like sort of a rebreather mask out of one of the lockers and put that on. It's not like this never happens. It's just really bad when it does.
So that would definitely be step number one.
Yeah. Okay, so you kind of like the hatch opens, and immediately you recognize what is happening here. And you kind of like close the door again, and you grab one of those masks out of the locker, put it on yourself, and then go back in. And I imagine you're doing this quick enough and sealing it behind you that it's not leaking out into the rest of the ship.
Yeah. Yeah, normally she might bother to like do a shipwide like notice, but considering she knows what's currently happening in the kitchen, she's probably not going to bother.
You definitely do not have enough time for that.
Yeah. So then I'm going to try and fix the ship.
Okay. I'm going to offer you a choice.
Okay.
Are you trying to do this fast, or are you trying to do it well?
Fast.
Okay.
For this particular problem, fast.
Then I want you to roll act quick. I want you to roll plus slick. Expert does come into play here, though.
Okay.
So, because this is one of your fields of expertise, you can choose one of the following. You can choose one of the options under expert.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? Also, you have technician, right?
Yes, absolutely. I have the technician background.
There's nobody here for you to spout technobabble to, which is one of the moves. But I will let it come into play. You can have advantage on your modifications or repairs. Just for like verisimilitude, I think the justification for this would be like you slamming like the comms panel just for a ship-wide broadcast to basically say, like, give them a rundown on what the issue is, and then you can say what your repairs are using spout technobabble, just because I think it's fun and it's part of the system and we should try to do it.
Yeah. All right, so get to do advantage.
Yeah, but you have to do that first. So, like, you slam the comm, and amidst all the chaos that's happening in the galley right now, you just hear Maeve's voice come on, and you're basically like, hey, we're venting fuel. What I need to do is...
I'm going to have to reroute this destabilized auxiliary conduit in order to reroute the fuel back into the proper systems and away from this busted pipe.
Absolutely. Very good. So you like that means nothing to any of you, but you're like, oh, that's bad. That's a bad thing.
That is
so you can
bad thing.
You can roll act quick with advantage. You rolled it, and
so that's actually an 8 when you
right.
Because I am not good at. I have +0 for slick. Maeve is not a slick girl. She does a few things well, and acting under pressure is, what do you know, not one of them.
So you have to choose. You have to choose one, but expert comes into play here also, and you can instead choose to choose one less, which means you won't have to pick any consequence.
Cool. This is under the
intellect move. Oh, act quick. Yes, that is act quick. So you can pretty much just do it as if you rolled a 10.
Yeah, cool. So I do the fix. I do the thing.
Yep. You reroute
it. One problem off our list, guys.
Yeah.
One of us
for
is capable.
now, because again, I did the quick fix, not the good fix, because fuel venting.
Well, I think you're pretty much good now. You did lose fuel, so that cannot be reversed. You have less fuel now than you did before, but you are not still actively losing fuel. You have repaired the problem. You rerouted it through a different auxiliary conduit, like you said, and now things are relatively stable on the ship. It's still pretty much like it's still very much being held together with like chewing gum and duct tape, like we said, but you've at least resolved this one issue. So you've got that going for you. It is going to take a little time, though. Meanwhile, back in the cabin, back in the galley, Tayo, Karis, you are using your nanites to try to jumpstart Jaxpers, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I kind of, what does that look like? You can explain what that looks like. You see Jaxper's corpse just lying on the deck, stone dead. Yeah. What do you want to do?
I start to mass my nanites in like kind of on the palms of my hands, and they start to like, I guess, glow and spark with electricity. and I touch one to Jaxper's head and another one to Jaxper's belly button, or lack of. I don't know.
No, he would have one. That's still the even lab grown, fetuses have one of those.
Like we all know.
As we all know,
as we
obviously.
All know. Lab-grown fetuses do have belly buttons.
From your standard bottle babies.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Easiest. Never mind.
And you're kind of just sending your nanites into Jaxper's system with the express purpose, just like, jump him.
To jump him, but also my the description of Microjones allows me to hack into computer systems. So maybe I'm like kind of reaching in and fixing some stuff.
So I definitely am going to need to know if you're trying to change any of their programming with this, or if you're just trying to bring them back.
No. Unless I can somehow make them a little bit more agreeable, but
you could try.
They're agreeable. They're my friends. We talk, and sometimes they really don't like what it is I'm about to do. Okay.
Roll plus calculating. I'm going to operate under the assumption that you are not changing their programming. You are just trying to bring them back online.
Okay, should I use my roll from earlier?
Did you? Yes, sorry. You already rolled it. I forgot. Let me pull up the thing. You got a 11. Very good. So you get to pick 3, I believe, if I am not mistaken. And so you can remotely hack into a nearby isolated computer system, which would count as the nanites inside of Jaxper. You could remotely spy on a nearby situation, or you can quickly map nearby hidden routes. So unfortunately, in this specific usage of it, unless there's anything you can think of, you're really only doing the one thing of hacking into their system with the intention of bringing them back online.
I mean, if Jaxper couldn't already set... Ooh, actually... suppose I leave some nanites behind. That allow me to remotely spy on Jaxper.
Okay. So I think that's fine with me. So
what you are going to want to do, Jack? Because remember, Jaxper is a late teens, early 20s dude. You really sure you want to know what they're up to?
Well, it's not on all the time. But I think what I will say is that you can absolutely do that. You can basically incorporate some of your own nanites, and you can program Jaxper's nanites to recognize them as part of the swarm, essentially. Like introducing ants into another colony, kind of. It's like they will be recognized as part of that colony, and so they won't immediately be like attacked and wiped out or anything like that. They will not register as foreign bodies. And you can do that. You could probably only do that in this circumstance where they are completely offline. So it's an opportunity. But yeah, you lay your hand on Jaxper's belly and head, and just sort of send out your nanites to jumpstart that, and it only takes a second. Pretty much as soon as one of your nanites makes contact with Jaxper's nanites, Jaxper, your eyes shoot open, and you do like the jaws of life breath, right? Just like the of like your body being oxygen deprived for like the past like minute or so, essentially.
Okay, I think what then happens is like his eyes open, he does that big breath, he sits straight up, like looks at Karis, and like mostly unseeing, and just says, Restart required. And then like falls back over, but this time he's like conscious, yeah, please hold, restart required. Falls back over, this time unconscious and breathing.
Okay, all right. Very
you
good.
boys are done playing over there. This guy's losing a lot of blood.
Yeah, so Ellis, you were trying to patch it up. So you've got the med kit, and you get down next to Rashawn. You pull the chair back. You know a death wound when you see one.
Yeah, I missed, huh?
Yeah, you did.
I didn't shoot too good.
No, it looked real cool, and it was a very dramatic moment with what you said.
I mean, it's not what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
just,
he is on his way out. If like, as far as Ellis is concerned, I think you are out of options. You are just looking down at this guy, and you're like, this is it. It's too late. Jaxper is unconscious. Maeve is not present. Tayo, there is one problem left in this room. I don't know if Karis wants to try to do something about it, but it's you're the only one in this room who could potentially try. You have not tried to fix this problem yet. You can attempt something if you want to.
He does have, I presume, like his things on him, and we do know that, as I established to everyone over the table and him explaining it to him, is that his plan is that he has a dead man's switch on. When he dies, if he fails to contact his, people, they're going to dump all this information. So we don't because already Karis was planning on him dying, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be that's the solution to the problem. Your problem that you see might be, oh no, that dead man's trigger is going to go off. I need to solve that problem.
Oh, so,
or you could try to save him because he's a human being.
You could.
Up to you.
Yeah.
Can I just, I don't know, text his contact from his device and tell him that I'm okay?
It's a little bit of an emergency situation. Also, you discharged your hacking move.
I discharged micro drones.
Yes. Isn't that your hacking move?
Nope. Hacking and cracking is a separate one. Oh,
shit. All right.
Yeah. So you have both options.
You got me.
Keeping him alive is that's what Alice is basically going to shout at you. It's like, if he's stable, I could use your help over here. It's like, my thought is that we stabilize Neville, and when we bring him back, we've established, we're not scared to kill you. That's not frightening to me. I'll do it. So you need to call off your idiots, because otherwise you're not getting off the ship. You kind of played your hand early.
I think Karis is probably more concerned with making sure my secret stays the secret from even you guys. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go for his device.
Yeah, because he's still alive. If there might be biometrics, I don't know how he logs into that.
All right, that's gonna be rolling with Slick. What are Karis's hooks? Remind me, because I feel like you have one related to your nanos.
Jaxper and I share a secret that must not be compromised.
So it's up to you if you want disadvantage to factor in, but I think that definitely qualifies as part of your hook.
Yeah, I think it qualifies because we're doing all of these shenanigans in front of Ellis.
But remember,
I don't think I would have seen the healing, but yeah.
Well, this is it's kind of the larger thing where this if you mess this up, it could potentially expose your secret to everyone, not just Ellis. So it's up to you if the move disadvantages you. That's if you want to really up the stakes in this situation, or potentially get an XP if you fail. If you rather would focus on trying to succeed, you can roll without disadvantage.
Okay, I would like to succeed on this, please.
Okay.
Please, Dice Maiden.
Yeah, Dice Maiden has been tricky today.
2d6 plus Slick is 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, guess you gotta save him.
Oh.
Well, you can try. I mean, so basically, yeah, I think you try to get into his device. You could probably do it, but you do notice that there is a subsystem that is monitoring his vitals, and it is already giving a warning as they are getting dangerously low. It is already registering a warning. It was me. I was Dice Maiden the whole time.
How dare you?
You realize that you need his biometrics to unlock the device. Like, it's basically registering his vitals as a like shutdown command. When his vitals drop to 0, the device will brick itself.
Oh no.
Hack the body to hack the computer.
Yeah. So you realize that the only real option you have in this scenario is to stop his vitals from dropping to 0. That means I think you're gonna, if you want to try to save him, you're gonna have to keep your cool.
I would like to assist him with this. This is something I can help with. I can't help hack the thing, but yeah.
Yeah. That's gonna be stalwart. That's gonna be stalwart for both of you, but roll yours first, Dan.
Woo.
Sick. That's great, actually. So that means that you have advantage. You can choose to. So I assume you're going to pick advantage and that you aren't pushed to your limits or exposed to danger or complications, Dan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's going to be it.
All right. So that means that
Sorry, I had to pull it up again.
No problem. So that means, Tayo, you roll 3d6 plus stalwart, and you take the 2 highest of the dice.
10.
All right.
Hell
you did
yeah.
it. You just barely pulled it off. You do it with minimal cost. You don't have to pick anything from that list. Between the two of you, you kind of just get on your hands and knees and you start like going to work, Karis, with this like uncharacteristic skill in like the medical stuff that you're doing. And I think you kind of yell at, like, I imagine you kind of yell at Ellis and you're just like, I get over here and like hold this, or you know, like he's passing you things.
Yeah, I mean, I have like hands already in his body.
Right.
I imagine it very much as a like, get out of the way, but like help me, like keep your hands in here. But
Karis is just, you know, grabbing like gauze packs from the med kit and shoving them inside of the bullet wound as much as he can.
Hold this artery, you idiot.
Yeah.
And also like every couple of seconds, I'm lifting Neville up and like slapping him to keep him out of shock.
All right.
Just
medical techniques, high-end medical techniques.
Yeah, clearly you could have been a doctor. But yeah, you at a certain point you realize that he is more or less stable. It is going to be very touch and go for the next couple of days, but for now you've managed to sort of stop the bleeding and get him out of immediate danger.
What you're saying,
there's a moment there
where I wanted to be.
There's a moment, I imagine, where you kind of just like fall back, and you're all sort of, Jaxper's unconscious, lying there on the ground but breathing. Karis and Ellis are both covered in blood. Ellis like has it up to his elbows. Karis, you're exhausted and your nanites are sort of like on their last legs just because you've tried to do so many different things. Like your nanobots revived Jaxper from death. You tried to hack the thing and did it, and now they're just sort of like exhausted. And then you're all just kind of sitting there, Rashawn bleeding, Jaxper unconscious, and Maeve, you finally managed to get the engine rerouted through the auxiliary circuit like you needed to, and you're just kind of like leaning against it, breathing heavily. And that seems like a really good place to take a 5-minute break.
Thanks for pulling our ass out of the fire, Ty.
Yeah. The theme of this session is Karis saves everyone, apparently.
Yeah, clearly.
If you guys would have just listened to him.
Hey!
And
Maeve did what Maeve needed to do.
That is true. Maeve also saved you.
You succeeded.
The theme of this session is Jaxper shouldn't roll.
Stop trying to do things.
Yeah, Jaxper.
Stop trying to do things that aren't hurting people and breaking things.
Yeah, in true teenage boy fashion, Jaxper is just real bad at doing things.
Ben, I'm trying to help. Why is it breaking?
I'm holding it together as hard as I can.
Oh no! Who could have foreseen this?
All right. On that note, we'll be back in 5 minutes. Thanks for hanging out with us. Stick around, and we'll pick right back up where we left off. See you in just a couple. And we're back. Thanks for sticking with us. We have all refreshed our beverages and discussed mayonnaise, and now we are prepared to return to the game. To the matter at hand, since there's still some stuff going on, there's still some resolution that has to happen. Where yeah, so there's this second of sort of calm. Maybe calm's the wrong word, but there's a second of just, all of you sort of breathing. And then the door to the galley slides open, and Maeve is standing there, and you just sort of look at the carnage. Like blood on the floor, blood on the table, Jaxper unconscious on the ground, which was not the case when you left this room.
So how's the ship?
It got worse. How did you guys make it worse while I was gone?
I mean, okay, dinner got messy, but I think it all turned out all right.
How many? Is anybody dead?
And then it's like walks into the kitchen to wash his hands.
Yep.
Kara's still applying pressure. Like, where are you going?
Applying pressure on Neville?
Yeah.
Okay, Maeve is just going to sigh and go over to try and see if there's anything she can be doing to try and fix Neville at this point. As the closest that they have to a ship's doctor.
Yeah, you have that. So I think I think
that's my other expert thing. And I also have which might come into play at this point. I actually do have the field surgeon intellect move, which is specifically supposed to be able to use a tactical pack to treat I'm hurt bad.
I
don't know
if tactical pack though.
I mean, on the ship we do.
Yeah.
And I haven't used any gear, so I can use. If you're making me declare that I have a tactical pack in close range, I can do that. I can use that gear slot.
Here's the thing, though. The way that the gear system works in this system is you have to have tactical pack in your gear list in order to spend a slot. I have it in my
gear list.
I'm looking at the intellect. I don't see tactical pack.
It doesn't normally, but I thought I was able to take it when I, take the field surgeon intellect move. Otherwise, that's a real dumb choice, isn't it?
Well, it's not. So the thing is that when you get paid, right, you have the option to buy more gear. And one of the things you can buy is a tactical pack. So I think probably the mechanical expression of this would be that it has been such a long time since you have re-upped on supplies that you, like this first aid kit that Ellis grabbed and then just started tossing things all around and using the wrong things and not keeping any of it safe or sterile was basically the last of your medical supplies that you had on the ship.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, that checks out.
How about instead of getting to have a strange artifact of unknown purpose trinket, I could just have a tactical pack?
I just feel like that would make things so easy for you.
My strange artifact is a tactical pack.
My strange artifact
down for generations.
What I will say,
it's the one that my mommy and daddy sent me off to space with, and I've kept it with me all this time.
It's dangerous in space. Take this. It's fully equipped.
Her family, as a family keepsake or heirloom, could easily be a tactical pack. Though it's probably more likely to be an old set of lockpicks.
Right. Field surgeon probably wouldn't come into play anyway, just because he is not a PC, so he doesn't have a wound track in the same way that a character does. But
I just figured I'd toss it out there.
Right. What I will let you do
attempt.
What I will let you do is, if you want, you can share your expertise.
Sure.
And expert would come into play, so you can pick one of the additional options if you succeed on that.
Okay.
Actually, you don't even need to succeed on it. You can just do that. But roll share expertise anyway. And that's with calculating.
Where to God, Dice Maiden?
See?
Hey.
The two of you are doing fine. Jaxper and Ellis are having a different day today.
So you can ask a question related to the topic and I'll give you a useful answer, or ask you to make up the answer. And you get to pick one of the things from expert. So you could ask the Space Master a question about the situation that relates to your expertise, and they will answer and ask you a question which you must answer. Or you share your expertise with a crew member, and they have advantage going forward when acting on that knowledge. So you can pick one of those two. If you pick the advantage going forward one, I'll probably just apply that to the next time you have to try to save Neville's life, because he's stable right now, but he's also dying from a gut wound.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the main question would be, what do we need to do to save this guy? Is it even something we
Get
can
him to
do
a hospital?
He
on the
needs
ship or
medical
yet
help.
just hospital?
He needs medical help, and you are in orbit over Mars.
Yep. That was the second half of my plan.
Fastest way to guarantee that he will get medical help without
Is
endangering
Nephin
yourselves
range?
would be Nephin range.
God fucking damn it. I was really hoping that there was another hospital.
Oh, there are absolutely other hospitals, but if
We're
you
about
are
to
concerned,
take a man with a gut shot wound that we caused, who's a wanted
No one knows
criminal.
that.
but also remember that you were concerned about landing in one of the larger Mars settlements for fear that auditors would already be waiting for you.
Nephin range it is. Keep your enemies close, right?
So yeah. So, and I'm sorry. It was a lot of
yeah, there's a lot going on here.
Me trying to keep track of what it was that I got to do as part of my expert / rolling.
So the answer that I am.
Choose. So because I was sharing expertise, I guess that was just for having done it, I got to ask my question.
Well, I will say that part of the answer is Maeve has to put her foot down. Okay. Everyone else is botching this situation.
Okay.
And I think Maeve has to just sort of step in. I mean, except for Karis, kind of. Karis, you did try to poison him. That would have been bad also. But
I don't specifically know that.
Maeve doesn't know that, yeah.
No, I think Maeve, the pieces are kind of coming together in your head. You're kind of figuring out what has been happening behind the scenes that you were left out of this entire time. Like, there have been all these weird, wheelings and dealings and threats and secrets that have been floating around, and it's all been happening while you've been trying to keep the ship running. And
the worst part is they're not even doing it well.
Right. So that would be the answer I would give you for share expertise. Okay. For expert, if you want to ask another question about the situation that relates to your expertise, I will answer and ask you a question, which you must answer, or you can have advantage going forward when acting on the knowledge that you are sharing here. In this case, your medical expertise.
I'm not entirely sure I have any other questions if the answer is to just get him to a hospital.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. It's definitely this is beyond Maeve's skill for sure, but Maeve knows enough to know that he needs medicine. He needs facilities and equipment that you just don't have on the ship.
So I think I am just going to take that advantage and keep it in my back pocket for next time, because
Sounds
Dice
good.
Maiden could turn on me at any time, as we've seen.
That is true. Now, it's going forward. So I'm going to say that you don't get to pick when it kicks in, but the next time somebody makes a roll involving saving Rashawn Neville, that's going to kick in.
Fine.
Sorry.
I'll take it.
So you.
So putting my foot down, I think once she sort of assesses the situation, she's just gonna wheel around, look at everybody, and just be like, I am so disappointed in all of you. What have you been doing? everything is worse. The ship is more broken, and we need his money to fix it, or we're going to be stranded. You shot the man who we're supposed to be protecting. So you don't get to make decisions anymore, Ellis. We're going to my parents, we're going to Nephilim Range, and we're getting him fixed. And maybe Jaxper too? What did you do to Jaxper?
No, I had nothing to do with that. That was, I don't know what he painted at the side of blood.
We're going to Nephilim Range. Yeah, Karis, I'm going to stabilize him. You go pilot us.
This is a bad idea, but fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yay!
All right.
We're winning.
Go team. All right. So you, so Karis, you get in the pilot seat of the ship, and you start diverting your course. You were just sort of in orbit over Mars, and you this might be Karis and Jaxper's first time at Nephilim Range, because you've only been on the crew for like a few months, each of you, and maybe haven't been back here since then. Ellis has definitely been here plenty of times. Maeve obviously grew up here. But yeah, you key in the coordinates for Nephilim Range. You start piloting down to where you need to go. You are going to be entering atmosphere, which is always rough on ships. But Nephilim can probably hold together given Maeve's recent repair efforts. It rattles dangerously in an unsettling way to all of you, except for probably Maeve, who knows, like, it's a short list of things that could go wrong at this point that hasn't already gone wrong and been addressed. You probably lose some like panels on the outside or anything or things like that, just because you've been in bad shape for a while. But yeah, you break the atmospheric around Mars, thanks to the terraforming efforts, and yeah, as you sort of break through the cloud cover, you see below you this just vast expanse of red earth, and as you draw even closer to the surface, you engage the landing procedures. The ship starts to slow. Other panels sort of expand outward. The thrusters shift into their landing position and are trying to compensate for your reentry. And yeah, you slow down enough that you're going to be able to make the landing no problem. As you start to come down, yes.
There's somebody out on my front porch.
Okay.
I'm gonna go see what the hell's going on.
Okay.
Give me 2 moments.
Sure, no problem. Oh, I feel like she's gonna change the windows when she turns her camera back on. That's fine. Anyway, you manage to bring it in for reentry, bring it in for a landing. There are houses, buildings, I should say. Some of them. Oh, you good?
It was an Amazon driver having a fight in her cell phone very loudly.
I hope she's okay.
Yeah, I hope she has a better day.
But anyway, yeah. So you, as the ship is coming down and you're viewing the ground below you, you see structures starting to come into view. The main one, the biggest one, you can tell, started off, the core of it is actually a ship itself, that was basically converted into a domicile. There have been like windows cut into it and things like that, and then it has been expanded on with additions around the outside. There are other buildings in sort of this same general area. It is clear that while this is not a city or anything like that, it most closely resembles a small town, almost even reminiscent of like a frontier town in the Old West. All of the buildings and the structures as you start coming down are sort of made out of, they're sort of thrown together with whatever they could be. Some of them are made out of wood. Some of them are made out of just sort of sheet metal that's been like welded together. basically just, whatever they could possibly construct it out of. And as you start coming down, you can see people sort of coming out of these buildings and looking up at you, kind of holding their hands over their eyes to try to shield themselves from the light, and they can actually see you coming down. And I think, Karis, you're probably sort of like, I don't know where to land, because there's no, like, you're used to coming in on like spaceports or docking with like, stations or things like that, but this is just kind of like landing a plane.
Guys, where the hell are we? What look at this mess. What Ellis?
Well, ignore
Ellis.
that landing site, because that landing site's the false landing site. You're not going to want to land there. But there's another landing site behind that one.
Why
over
is
there.
there
You see where it looks like a
landing
cattle
site?
field? That's not actually, those are fake cattle. That's holograph. You're going to want to go down over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very cool.
That one's
detail of
mine.
world building.
You don't want to, that one, yeah.
I love that. So yeah, you do in fact see sort of like a cattle pen, where there do appear to be cattle grazing, on the grass that is growing up out of the Martian soil. And as you bring it down about 50 feet off of the ground, you realize that you're entering into a holographic image, and you're able to bring the ship down amidst a small group of other ships that are already parked here. And you realize that Ellis is right. This is a projected image from the air of cattle grazing, now that you are past the point of projection.
I like the idea that like all the other ships are actually like, they look like farm buildings.
Yeah.
And then so like when our ship settles down, suddenly it's a silo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fancy.
And yeah, you
gotta make sure you got the tech for the parts that count. You don't want the government coming poking their noses around.
goddamn government.
Goddamn government.
Yeah, you disembark. You can exit the Nephilim. You lower the landing. Ramp.
Sorry to interrupt the thing, but I think
No,
we
yeah.
would hit up because of how we're coming in and why we're coming in. And not to speak for Maeve's character, but I think because of what she was saying we're doing is that we would probably have said, like, we have an emergency medical situation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We need to be, like,
Yeah.
that someone's going to be on the loading dock, basically,
Mhm.
with the truck, like, get him on the bed, let's go.
Yeah. Also, I'll definitely say, as you were coming down, you were able to link up with the local net and send that message, that communication. It's definitely like the local network for Nephin Range is definitely encrypted, but Maeve knows how to access it.
Yeah, Maeve grew up with it, so she
Exactly.
would've- and probably even like invoked her name to be like, this is Maeve, like whatever. I don't know if they even would use like actual names versus if everyone on Nephin Range sort of has like.
Yeah, what's your code
their
name?
call
Oh, like
sign.
Yeah, what's your Nephilim Ridge call sign?
like trucker call signs. I kind of love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the local Nephilim Range CV.
So I'll say Grace's. You would know from growing up there, and having been back several times, that Grace's was Archangel.
Mm.
And Ellis's
dig it.
is Red Eye, as it always has been.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that the rest of you ever had to have your own call signs, because every time you were coming in, it was on the Nephilim, and you just Grace would be the one to call it in and be like, Nephin Range, this is Archangel, we're coming in. So I think like there's sort of that moment of pause as as Maeve gets on the horn, where they're like, where you have to give a call sign, and you just kind of hesitate for a second because you've never really had to do this before.
Yeah. But in the end, probably give the old call sign of Archangel.
Okay. And then yeah, like after a second, there's a very crackly, distorted voice that comes back over and says, "Archangel, you are cleared for landing. You know the drill. See you soon."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
I was
know.
gonna say, I love Karis hearing that and being like, I do not know the drill at all.
What is the drill?
Mhm.
Who's Archangel? Why are we here?
You come down in that field, and yeah, there are. I think probably there are a couple people waiting out there who just sort of have they're just wearing like regular clothes, but they do have like, they're wearing gloves, they're wearing masks. They're sort of very obviously, even though they're just dressed plain clothes, very clearly some of the medical personnel for Nephin range. Probably they have like a anti-gravity stretcher that, well, no, they don't. It's definitely something that they have to carry between the two of them. But
or like it might be like it's like an all-terrain stretcher, right? Like it's got like big chonky wheels with them.
Right, exactly. But they load Neville carefully onto that, and
I handcuff him to the stretcher. Because at this point, Ellis has entered full like bounty hunter like garb, where like there's a rifle on my back, and I'm like wearing like the duster and everything. I'm like, he doesn't go anywhere without me, and like this is my prisoner, and I want him to recover. But yeah, like I'm not leaving his side until he wakes up.
So does that mean you're carrying the case or whatever it is?
Yeah, exactly. Like he has his PDA like in my bag, and I don't go anywhere Neville go, or he doesn't go anywhere I don't go, and I'm there when he wakes up.
One of the medical doctors looks down at you, like handcuffing him to the stretcher, and then like looks at you, Ellis, and then looks over at Maeve, and is kind of like, so
That's
it's
my
like
bag. You know how it is, Doc.
Oh.
Can't let somebody else be claiming all this money.
All right. And yeah, they are gonna start like wheeling him over to one of the buildings, sort of a low slung silo. This is actually probably one of the nicer buildings, and it does sort of have the like red cross over the door. This one I think is like properly constructed. It's not one of the slapdash ones that's just kind of been thrown together. It's very clearly been built with like the purpose of having reliable power and being clean, and
like a prefab that they just like
exactly. But yeah, they kind of wheel him into that building, and you said you're going with him, Ellis. Yep. What about the rest of you? Are you also gonna just go into the clinic, or are you gonna do other things? As that is all taking place, Maeve, you do see your parents running towards you. Not running, but like hustling towards you. They look apprehensive, but they look happy to see you.
Yay!
I just like shoot a wave and then everyone into the clinic.
Yeah. So this is the first time that we are seeing these two characters in the game, and it's the first time that Jaxper and Karis are meeting them. So we'll go ahead and did you want to describe Orson and Acacia Cass Delaney?
No, because the only images I have in my head for them now are Della and Dan, since they played them in our pre-game.
That is true. Well, we definitely described Orson as just being like a big of like Viking biker looking dude.
Well, yeah, he's that, but he's also what's his name?
Did we have?
He's Uncle Owen from he's a bigger, musclier, more biker version of Uncle Owen from Star Wars.
Right, yeah. And then I don't really remember giving your mom much of a description, but remember they were pirates before settling.
I had a thought for her casting, and it was Imelda Staunton.
I don't know who that is.
Actually looking friendly.
Okay.
So that is the actress who played Dolores Umbridge in the Harry Potter movies.
Okay.
But like that, just sort of like very like friendly auntie.
Friendly.
With iron in there.
But then don't fuck with her.
I do. I like that looking at her. Because when you say Umbridge, all I can picture is Umbridge, and I was like,
yeah.
But yes, no, I'm totally
look at the actual actress's face.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm totally down with that. So yeah, there are your parents moving towards you, and I imagine it's kind of like Imelda Staunton, but like punk, right? Like they were pirates. She's got like tattoos, although like she's probably not like she probably had like a crazy haircut at some point and like carried around guns and things like that. These days though, like she still has the tattoos and everything, but very much the vibe is different. You know, she's just your mom. Same deal for your dad. He's just kind of this big burly guy, Orson. And he like snatches you up as soon as they reach you, kind of swings you around a little bit and you know says how good it is to see you, and you know it's been way too long. Your mom lets him like have his moment because I think this is pretty typical of your visits. But she looks around at Karis and Jaxper, and assuming neither one of you are going with Ellis.
I'm not sure. Has my restart cycle finished?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry about that. Yeah, you have you woke up upon entry, I think.
Yeah, I give you one last like smack to the back of the head to make sure you're fully.
Man, go fuck yourself. Don't fucking touch me.
I like that being an autonomic response. Is that like when Jaxper
totally.
restarts and you slide, go fuck yourself? What? Oh, no.
Yeah.
I think Karis might go into the clinic.
Okay.
I still have just a scratch, so maybe they can help me with that.
Yeah, they have a tactical pack for sure.
I think Jaxper.
They are a tactical pack.
I think 100% Jaxper is probably like hanging out like nearby Maeve, but not like super close, but obviously in that like teenager like want to know what's going on, but I don't want people to think I want to know what's going on kind of way. And he's got like some like snack bar that he's managed to squirrel away. And he's just sort of sitting there eating candy and glowering.
Trying to surreptitiously meet the parents.
You know.
Yeah.
So I think once Maeve gets the initial like hellos, she'd be like, "Oh, this is Jaxper. He just joined the crew not too long ago. Was kind of. Are you feeling better, Jaxper? You were kind of out for a while there."
Yeah, it's all fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine.
Apparently, he's fine.
Yeah, your dad like is a little more wary. I think he like looks over at Jaxper, dismisses him pretty quickly, and then gets back to focusing on you, Maeve. Maeve's mom, Cass, I think, spends a little more time looking at Jaxper. Just sort of like Jaxper's older than he looks, and you are used to, you know what it looks like when someone is calculating. Someone is threat assessing you, essentially. And she has a very scrutinizing gaze.
He like sees her doing that, like tenses up for about 30 seconds. Like I think I don't want to play this. I think there is a single moment where he like notices and then like tries to kind of like smooth out, and then immediately just becomes like just awkward. Like it's just so like, but I think she can. He's still rebooting. He's not operating at 100%. So I think she like can see his gears shift of like real grumpy. Oh, important people might be looking at me. Sit up, shoulders back, look non-threatening.
When you
eat your candy.
Hell yeah, grip it. When you get awkward, she gives a very, like, not to you, but sort of almost to herself, gives a very subtle nod of like, oh, okay, he's like normal or whatever. Like you are, you get the impression that you have given her the sign she was looking for. Maeve, your dad looks around and says, so where's Grace? She's still on the ship?
Grace Something happened, and we don't know where Grace is.
There's only about a 15 to 20% chance she's still alive. And that's only because we never saw her body.
They try to look with each other. They try to look with each other, and then your dad kind of pulls you back into a hug, and you know, is like very fatherly, and says, "Are you doing okay? I mean, I know she meant more to you than anyone else, and vice versa. You."
I think Maeve would like open her mouth to say she was okay, and instead she's just gonna start crying. Maeve's a big softie.
He's like, oh god, darling, all right, let's go home. Let's get you home, and I'll you hungry? I'll make you some food. And your dad takes you back to your house, and Cass lingers for a second and watches the two of you walk away, and then turns to Jaxper and says, were you there? You made it sound like you saw it happen.
You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I saw most of it, if not the end of it.
What'd you see? Her affectation has shifted drastically. She is like all business now, very cold. You might even recognize, like you might even see this and be like, oh, okay, you've killed people. Like,
yeah. And I think he's going to she'll see some of his gears shift, and he's going to go into like report mode. A SIP sent out a distressed call. We answered. We knew it was possible. There was a possibility that it was a trap. She took me with her. When we got there, there was a man in the lock. They gassed us. How many people did I see when I like woke back up and like messed people up before they dragged us away?
3. There was the guy who the others identified. I think she called him Rios.
Okay.
And then the only other person who was mentioned, Rios, was the one who said, Michael wants to see you. You've been running for long enough.
One of them was named Rios. And he said to her, you've been running long enough. Michael wants to see you. Michael wants to see you? Or
yeah, essentially.
Yeah. And Michael wants to see you. I then made it so that he won't be walking ever again, and they knocked me out. And when I woke back up, there was nothing but blood, and our ship was floating dead in the black.
She like shakes her head and says, God damn it, Grace, you and your secrets.
Do you know anything about this? Those names, and at all familiar to you?
Nobody would. Grace and I were friends. As close to her as anybody. Which means I still know absolutely nothing about who she was or where she came from.
Well, I know at one point she worked as the bodyguard for that man who we just dragged in.
What happened to him?
He attempted to blackmail Ellis
And he's still breathing?
Took a lot of work to get him that way.
Yeah, I imagine that's so. She looks at you more closely and she says, "Oh, you hungry? You look hungry."
I'm starving.
Come on. And she leads you off to the Delaney family residence as well. The clinic, the two people, there's a man and a woman, and they basically rush Neville straight into. They do not have an operating room in here, but they basically rush him straight into one of their rooms, examination rooms, and they just sort of sweep everything off of the table that's inside of it and lay him out on there, and they pretty much immediately go to work trying to save his life. The woman is clearly the more more experienced of the two, the more knowledgeable of the two. She's barking commands at the man, and he's sort of handing her things, and just sort of like she's like, "I need you to apply pressure right here." They go to work, and that kind of just leaves Ellis and Garrus standing there watching them.
Yeah, if there's an observation window, I'll stand outside of that room, respecting if they want me out of it. Otherwise, I'm going to be painted into the corner, basically.
Yeah, I don't think there's an observation window, but I don't think they closed the door to the room. So I think you're just kind of both standing in the
outside
doorway.
Yeah, exactly. I'm also going to take all of his effects, because I know that they're just going to strip his clothes, but obviously he's going to have his bag and things that I pulled off the Nephilim.
Yeah.
So if I guess Karis has Karis had the Justice Scratch popped off yet, or?
They have not had the chance to, though. Give me one moment to look, because some of them go away.
Yeah, I think that goes away when it says when a scene ends, that resolves.
Just a scratch, yes. You no longer have just a scratch. The injury isn't gone, but it's not bothering you anymore.
Okay. But the stress all stays.
Yeah. Stress does, yeah. There are other things you have to do to get rid of stress.
Okay.
So yeah, without I'm in full black dog hound mode, but effectively without breaking my eyes away from the target, I'm gonna hand the bag to Karis and be like, "We still got a problem. While I keep an eye on this side of it, I need you to figure out what you were trying to figure out while he was still bleeding." In a clipped way. It's basically all right, well, he's gonna live. How about us? And hand him the bag. Be like, "You need to sort this out, Karis. You can. Let me know what you need. But for now," I just kind of point a finger and recross my arms in a different direction, staring at Neville.
I'm on it.
Okay. You now have his bag, which includes his handheld.
I also will, and I don't know, leave it on a note, put it in as whatever it is. I'll let Karis know where the Delaney household is, because that's definitely where Maeve is gone, and it's definitely where we're staying. And if Karis doesn't want to stay in the hospital,
yeah,
yeah,
it's the Karis. You would have been told that it's the biggest structure at the end of the street. Essentially, there's kind of a main drag of Nephin Range, which has all of the different buildings on it. There's probably a bar. Almost like a saloon type of thing. There's the clinic. There's a few other places. But
I also would have told him not to knock on the front door, because if you knock on the front door, it does set off the stun grenade. So you're going to want to go around to the side door.
Yeah.
Because only tax collectors knock on the front door.
No tax collectors on bars, but that's
the Delaney's are cautious, right?
That's maybe what they call.
Could just be delivery people standing on your front porch having extremely loud arguments on their phone.
Exactly.
I kind of like the idea that tax collectors is Nephin Range slang for anyone who's undesirable.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, you get told that basically it's the big structure at the end of the street, the one that's a down spaceship at its core, but with lots of additions that have been added on over the years since then. And yeah, Ellis gives you the instructions to go around to the side door instead of the front door. If you want to go there, if you want to just try to do this in the clinic, that's totally fine too. Or if you want to go back in Nephilim and try to do it, yeah. either way.
Yeah, I think I want to go back, bring everything back to the Nephilim, go to my quarters, and see what I can glean from his handheld.
Okay. Interesting. Now, before you were not able to hack it because you had already discharged. Oh no, you failed your hacking roll, right?
Did I?
When you tried to roll hacking and cracking,
I think so. I think you got a 6.
Yeah, you rolled with slick,
Yeah.
and I think you failed it. So I'm gonna make the consequence from that stand. I'm gonna say that, like, as you were examining the handheld, you realize that hacking it through any of your normal methods will cause it to brick itself. The same way that it is connected to a biometric scanner implanted probably either on his person or in his body itself. And that will also brick it. And the implication is that when it bricks itself, that's when the data that he was blackmailing you with will be transferred.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's what you're able to determine. You're not able to do anything about it, but you do know that that's the case now. That's sort of the implicit threat.
All right. Is there anything else in the bag that might be useful to me?
There are a few things. Nothing super exciting. You took his shotgun. But that wouldn't have fit in his bag anyway. He's got some physical currency, which is a little it's a little unusual, but considering that he was heading to Mars, it's not that weird. Mars is one of the only places in the system where, like, you can actually use physical currency for things. It's pretty much digital anywhere in Takamagahara or Earth, unless you're dealing with like really like real like low level degen type things. And same with Tranquility. But yeah, he has a little bit of physical currency. He's got his handheld. He's got a tablet in there. And he's got something wrapped in a cloth, like a rectangular object wrapped in a cloth.
Which I am eagerly going to open.
Obviously. It is a framed photograph. And it is very clearly Rashawn Neville. It's a very beautiful woman, sitting next to a very beautiful woman. They are both dressed for a wedding. She is wearing this like very beautiful red sari wrapped around her body. They both look very happy. They both look ecstatic. And there are 2 young children dressed similarly fancy standing in front of them, also smiling. All of them are smiling and looking very happy. There's a boy who looks like he's about 10, and a girl who looks like she's maybe about 6.
Okay. Can I take a picture of it with my handheld?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. I am snapping a copy of that picture.
Okay.
And then properly wrapping it back up to stow within the bag.
Sure. I think there's also probably a gun, like just a pistol.
Oh, which I also take.
Sure. Yeah, and I don't think he really has anything else of note in his bag.
Okay. Since I wasn't able to get anything out of the handheld, I will head back to the clinic to go like pick up the boys.
Okay. Yeah. So, Maeve, you are back in your childhood home. Back like seated at the wooden table in the kitchen. Despite all of the like additions that have been built onto this house, it's gotten bigger even since the last time you were here. The kitchen is still very small. It's still part of that main structure. where you grew up all those years ago. And it is still just like a fairly small wooden table, seats about 4 people, stove, refrigerator, things like that. But everywhere around here, everywhere you look, there's just sort of these like homey touches that are very familiar to you. Couple like just sort of mementos from your parents' days when they were younger, when they met each other, when they traveled together. And you just kind of sort of seated at the table with this very familiar memory of like your dad cooking. He always kind of whistles to himself as every time he does so. And now is no exception. He's just very focused and he kind of does it unconsciously. And you're kind of starting to calm down from sobbing before. And he's just he starts talking as he's working in between the whistles and the music and stuff, and he's just sort of talking to talk so that it's not quiet and to distract you. So he's just sort of saying like, and we finally got that new addition up and running. It's hydroponics, which we've always talked about doing, and seems like it's working pretty well. It's your mom's project, but she's always been better at that sort of thing than I have. Engines are easy, but making things grow, it's beyond me.
That sounds real cool. Maybe if we're here long enough, I could go see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure your mom would love to talk to you about it for too long. Hell, you might even be able to help her figure out. She's had some kind of problem with the irrigation. I don't know, but that's probably something you'd be able to figure out. You're smart.
Love to take a look.
Yeah. And he's sort of cooking, and Cass enters, and like Jack Spur sort of following awkwardly, I imagine, behind her, just a couple of steps respectfully, and she kind of comes in and she's like, "What am I struggling with?" And he's like, he's like, the and she's like, the what, Orson? And he's like, damn it, Cass. Don't give me that. You know those plants are drowning just as well as I do. And she like, and then like over her shoulder, just like points to the table, the seat next to Maeve, and says, "Have a seat," to Jaxper, and then starts like going through to like pouring water and stuff like that. Grabs a pitcher down from a shelf, fills it up with water from like a hose that feeds into a holder over just like a sink, and fills it up with water, sets it on the table between the two of you, and sets glasses, and then starts making stuff alongside Orson, and they have like this really remarkable synergy where like this is a tiny kitchen, but they never seem to be in each other's way.
I think Jaxper's just gonna kind of be like, will like pour himself some water, pour Maeve some water, and then just kind of sit there awkwarding quietly.
Awkwarding is a verb now.
With Jaxper.
It is for Jaxper.
I was gonna say, if you've met an awkward boy, awkwarding is definitely.
Yeah.
It's an activity. It's an activity he spends a lot of time on. It's a hobby.
As you're sitting there, Cass is just kind of going to catch Orson up to speed with what Jaxper told her. So she's like kind of filling him in. She's like, that man that they brought in, he was a part of a bodyguard contract that they took, and he was like, "Oh, is that so?" And she was like, "Yep, it is." And Grace is missing. She might be dead. And he's like, "Well, it's gonna happen sooner or later." Way she kept secrets, and Cass is like, "Yeah, that's what I said. That's exactly what I said." She basically just fills him in on everything that Jaxper told her before while they're cooking. But you two are just kind of sitting there. If you're not planning to like talk to each other or anything like that, they just sort of prattle on to each other as they're cooking.
There may be one other minor issue that I'm going to want to say before you guys leave, and I really want to say it after you feed me, but I should probably just say it now. Get it out of the way. He had auditors after him, and that might be an issue.
Yeah, they like look at each other and they have these very serious expressions on their faces. And and then like Orson like kind of cracks a little bit, like his corner of his mouth turns up a little bit, and he's like, "Did you hear that, dear? We got auditors after him." And Cass, and she like her facade breaks a little bit too, but she's better at keeping a straight face, and she's like, "Oh no, auditors! Damn, guess we got to pack up and move." And he's like, "Yep."
Also, Dad, if you've got time, the Nephilim actually started leaking fuel right before we were able to touch down. So I patched it up for the moment, obviously, to land, but could probably use a second pair of hands that actually knows what they're doing to try and see if I can fix that up better.
I gotta look at it. I gotta look at it when you came in, and it's gonna be in dry dock for a spell, shall we say.
Well, as long as that guy we brought in lives, hopefully at least we'll have the money to do it. And then we can go look for Grace, who's totally alive and out there somewhere, just waiting to be rescued.
Maeve, darling, I realize you've not taken a bodyguard job before. Don't have much experience with that sort of thing. Generally speaking, bodyguards don't get paid if they shoot the person they're supposed to be protecting.
That's what I said.
I just don't want
and
you
you
to
know
get...
what? And you know what? Fuck.
I just don't want you going and get your hopes up.
If the guy wants to make it out of Nephin range alive without Ellis doing further harm to him, he's probably going to have to pay us at least something.
we're fucking extortionists now. That's what we are too. We're also extortion.
Cass
you know, like I wasn't real comfortable with that at first, but if he's going to blackmail us, I'm a little more comfortable with Ellis extorting him. It just seems fair.
Cass, who is sort of washing her hands, says with a sort of a deadly calm, sort of a deadly calm as she's doing so. She says, "Well, if Ellis wants to kill him, he's going to have to drag him outside of Nephin range limits. He knows the rules."
He'd do it too. That's fair.
Oh, I know he would do it. You just better hope I don't find out about it.
I think he knows better than to do something you wouldn't approve of, Mom.
I hope so.
I don't think he does. So see, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure
Ellis has met my parents. I don't think he'd do it if he knew that they were gonna.
No, I'm starting to think that like a solid 40% of his beef with me has to do with his own projection about how he lives his life.
The thing about Ellis that you got to understand, Orson says, and if you're going to keep traveling with him, you're going to have to figure this out, was most people, not everyone, of course, has that little voice in the back of their head that says, this is a bad idea, or this is a bad thing to do. Don't do that. And that was Grace for Ellis. So I don't know how things went down after she was gone, but my gut tells me Ellis might have been calling the shots for a minute or two. Y'all are going to have to figure that out real fast.
Oh, shit.
Just my opinion. Back at the clinic, as they finish cooking up food for you all.
So red. I don't.
Right? Yeah, my ears are burning. It's the weirdest thing. I feel so seen. But yeah. So, Karis, you were heading back to the clinic with this information that you found. Ellis, for the time period that Karis was gone, trying to figure out what he could find from all of the data and the belongings in the bag, you were pretty much just, I guess, watching them do surgery.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're
just
sort
plain
of
sentry.
Right. Your bloodhound instincts sort of kick back in. You're just watching it, and it's like they didn't even really take the time to strip him out of his clothes. They just kind of like tore his shirt open and went right into work. Yep. They basically cut him right out of his clothes and went to work. And they're just working. It's just a very long, tedious process of, packing gauze in, stitching things up. Every so often, one of them will the woman who's doing most of the surgery will her voice will raise a little bit, and she'll be like, apply pressure, apply pressure, apply pressure, and then like it seems to like sort of subside again and calm back down. And then after a little while of that, Karis comes back in to the clinic.
Like a heavy nod, like things seem to be going all right. How'd things go with that?
Couldn't get much out of his handheld, but I did find this, and I show him from my handheld the picture of Neville and his family.
Oh, Mr. Neville's a family man. That's good to know. What do you mean you didn't get nothing out of the handheld? There's no way to unhitch that switch?
Not currently. It's tied to a biosensor to make sure he stays alive.
That's a clever little feature. Huh. Wonder if that counts if we put that into a nice, healthy piece of livestock. Conversations to have with Mr. Neville once he comes back to the land of the living, I suppose.
We'll find out. And now I think we have a little bit of leverage.
I would agree. All right, well, I'll hold down the fort here. Why don't you get yourself cleaned up, and about now, Cass is probably cooking for Jaxper and Maeve. Head on over there and get yourself something to eat. That was a neat trick with poisoning him, though, by the way. Maybe I should have caught your advice before I decided to make my play. That would have been a far more surgical option, I suppose.
You've always been a shoot first and keep shooting kind of guy.
Yeah, I suppose. What can I say, though? You wanna blackmail a guy like me, you better have a good piece of steel between you and who you're trying to hurt.
Let's keep all that from Maeve.
That also, I agree.
And
you watch out around the Delaney's. They're clever, and I trust them, but they know how to ask the right questions. Let me put it that way.
And the next time either of us wants to do something extreme, I'll be sure to let you know.
Sounds like a good plan. I think you and I have some similar thoughts on how to solve problems. Maybe we should collaborate a little more closely.
Yes, very similar.
Mm-hmm. All right. I might see y'all later, but till Mr. Neville wakes up, I think I'll be hanging here.
Around that, like pretty much right as you say that, the man, the nurse who was assisting the surgeon, kind of like comes over to you. He's stripping off the gloves that he was wearing and like wiping his hands off with some sanitized, like unsanitized towel, and he says, "Look, I don't know if you're concerned about your friend or what, but it's gonna be a while." Still, you may want to.
Yeah, it looked like it was a little touch and go in there. I'm sure you're doing your best, Doc.
I mean, we're trying. I obviously can't guarantee anything. Laura
of course,
is.
No, we understand.
Laura's one of the best, but yeah, can't guarantee anything. I don't know if
I
you
appreciate
wanna. I don't know if you planning to stay here until he wakes up, but
that is my thought.
look, it's none of my business. But you might want to seek accommodations unless you're planning to pull an all-nighter.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you, Doctor.
And he like looks over his shoulder and leans in close and says, "Between you and me, she doesn't like to be watched."
Oh, no, I respect that. All right. There's no like second way out of that operating theater, right?
He
Just
like
one.
looks over his shoulder and it's just a room. Like there's no
Yeah.
window or anything, and is like,
Oh, 100%.
no.
All right, that fair enough. So Ellis is gonna like walk to the nearest like chair or bench or whatever, and
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
just pop it up outside the door just so that
Right.
she can't see that he's still there. But like
There's like
again, guard dog over that door.
There's like a ramshackle waiting room. It's like piecemeal furniture. None of it matches or anything.
Perfect.
But yeah, you
I
can
just picked
grab one of the
The
chairs.
crustiest looking chair, and I'm
Yeah.
sitting right outside the door,
All right. Okay.
drinking whatever piss poor excuse they have for coffee, and just like
I was just double checking my playbook. Can I retcon and just straight up steal the photo instead of taking a picture of it?
Oh yeah, if you want to, absolutely.
Would that then trigger my master thief?
Master thief.
you could steal his gun if it's just
You
about
steal
stealing
something of
something.
significance. Oh, yeah, yeah. You can mark XP.
Sweet.
Did not know that was a thing, but yeah, you absolutely just pocket that photograph that he took of his family, and that's yours now.
It still makes sense that you would have just shown me a picture of it, though.
Yes,
You wouldn't have shown me like that.
exactly. Yeah. So time passes.
Did you bring me the PDA back or his tablet?
Yeah, I have the bag.
Okay, I'll take the bag with whatever's left in it. So you'll have the gun and the picture, and I'll have the rest of his effects.
Okay. I also think Karis, unless Maeve is gonna drag him into the home, probably is just like family awkward and would rather just stay out.
Just go back to your bunk in Nephilim.
Yeah,
Okay.
or maybe like take shifts with Ellis.
You could do
Yeah,
that.
Ellis doesn't mind the company. He's
okay.
not going anywhere though.
Right. So, I mean, you have a couple options you can do here, Karis. There's like there is like a bar locally. There's a couple stores and things like that where you can procure goods and services. Yeah, there are houses where people live, but there are a few like places where you can go to sort of spend money. For the most part, it's mostly word of mouth in this town, but like the saloon is clearly marked, the like general store is clearly marked, so on and so forth.
How does shopping even work in this?
So,
are we? Is this barter town?
well, it's generally assumed that you have enough money on you at any point to like get drunk, have a meal, things that have no real like impact on the game, and then otherwise you are completely broke. So like you can't buy a new gun until you've completed a contract and you have funds to spend. The monetary system of this game basically assumes that like you are always broke and struggling to keep your ship running until you complete a contract, and then you have to spend most of that money to keep your ship running. And then if you have anything left over, you can spend that on like new toys and things like that.
Okay. So pretending I have enough to buy a milkshake somewhere.
Oh, you can absolutely just like go and buy a milkshake. I guess yeah. We could say that the saloon is also sort of like the only restaurant, quote unquote. It's the only place where you can exchange money for somebody cooking a meal for you. Okay. And you can go there and get a milkshake if you want.
Yeah, I'll go get a milkshake and maybe listen in on what's going on,
Sure.
since it's like the only like watering hole.
It's the specialty of the house. Let's see. Just want to see if there's anything that I could have you roll to.
I'm doing that thing that Aragorn is doing in the Fellowship, where he's sitting in the corner.
Okay.
But with a milkshake and still managing to be ominous about it.
Fair enough. Okay. Why don't you scope it out for me, and then based on how you do for that, I will tell you what happens. And while you're doing that, while you're just kind of sitting in the corner ominously and threateningly sipping your milkshake, the rest of you, Jaxper and Maeve, basically have a pretty, like, we'll cut back to you all in the middle of dinner, and like Cass, not Cass, they've made like a really simple meal. There's like a rough, like clearly handmade wooden bowl in the middle of the table that is just sort of piled high with like fresh hydroponic vegetables from the aforementioned sort of greenhouse room, and also like a handmade from scratch like very simple pasta dish that Orson has put together, and you've all sort of got that on your plates, and then there's water and bread. It's overall just a very sort of rustic and like homemade meal, but way better than anything you've eaten probably since even before you joined the Nephilim. Like God only knows how long it's been since you've had like fresh vegetables and not just like something that was exported from a megacorp, or imported from a megacorp rather. And Maeve, like you miss this, but you also grew up with this, so it's a little more familiar to you. It's a little less special. But Jax, you take like one bite and you're just kind of like, oh God, that's what food tastes like.
Jaxper like takes one bite and like his eyes go wide and just starts shoveling food in his mouth, like barely speaking to anyone.
Right.
Absolutely just enraptured.
Yeah. And the like Orson and like Cass, they kind of like have these big, they're very used to like having these conversations between themselves, and they sort of start recounting. Orson, at one point during the conversation was like, and that was like, remember when we were out, you remember when we were out by Tranquility that one, and she was like, yes, like, of course I remember. How could I forget? You disobeyed a direct order. And he was like, well, yeah, I mean, it was a bad order. Like, we only survived because of me. And she was like, that is debatable, but probably true. And like pats his shoulder. The conversation is like largely that, but I think at a certain point, Jax probably gets a little more involved. Like, Orson's like, they start like recounting some story about a bar fight that like Orson remembers having, and he was like, this was the wildest thing I've ever seen. Picture, like we're on Earth, right? Like Earth, and there's this we're there for a deal, but he's running late, and we're getting real tired of waiting. And Cass, who like has her cup up to her lips, is like, and you were getting a little drunk. And he like shoves her sort of playfully and is like, I was maybe a little drunker than I had intended to be. But the whole place, right? Like one guy, it's the wildest thing I've ever seen. One guy like dropped a glass, and she was like, and Cass is like, it was you. You dropped a glass. And he was like, I dropped a glass, and the whole place goes crazy. You would have thought somebody like shot a gun in there. Suddenly everybody is all over everybody else. There are people throwing punches. It's crazy. And like I think like Jaxper, you probably like are like, no, that happened to me too. Like I've been, and you kind of like, you start to hit it off with Orson a little bit, and like you're just kind of trading these like war stories a little bit. Yeah, it's basically just kind of a nice night. very, very calm, very peaceful. Cass, at one point, like looks out leans back to look out the window down sort of the main drag of Nephin Range, and says, "What about what about Ellis and the quiet fella? They're not partial to company?"
Karis likes to be alone, and I think Ellis is going to be staring at the guy for the rest of the evening.
I think he's planning on keeping an eye on him. Yeah, make sure. Because what Jack's like, I know things got real crazy there, but there was something that he has on the rest of you. What did you? Because we already know about the. Wait, does Maeve know about the fact that there's a bounty on Jackspur for the?
Oh yeah, you know about that.
Okay, yeah, like
that's like nothing.
Talking about the nightclub thing, because like that's not much of a secret if your name's already out there on a bounty. Other than turning you in, but someone's still got to come get you and bring you back.
If Jackspur looks sort of visibly uncomfortable with this line of questioning, Cass kind of like very casually says, "Maeve, you know better than to ask somebody about their bounties. Come on."
So you don't have to worry about it being a bounty. And that's literally all I'm going to tell you. So
ominous.
I mean, there's a fucking reason I'm on the Nephilim. What's
that supposed to mean? The Nephilim is a good ship.
The Nephilim is a fantastic ship full of people who are there because they are hiding. Yeah, it's literally just you and a whole bunch of people who are out there because they're hiding. Like that's it, like kind of like looks at Cass and Orson is like, back me up.
Man, he's not wrong, like, dear. Yeah, I mean even Grace. She was a little more open. You might have some idea where to start if you are intent on tracking her down, but as it stands, that's the price you pay for keeping secrets. Eventually they catch up with you and you become one yourself.
That's deep.
Jackson's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't intend to learn a lesson from that. He doesn't say that.
Right. I will learn nothing from this. I've decided. Yeah. Cass sort of like nudges Orson and they and she says, weren't you going to take a look at the ship? And he looks confused for a second. He's like, oh, yep. I'm gonna get my tools and I'm gonna get right on that. And you he's like, what, you want to help me? And Cass is like, yeah, I will. And they are, all right, we're gonna head out. You kids mind cleaning up?
Yeah, I can. You don't want me to come with you and like walk you through what's been going on with it?
No offense, dear. Looks like you've done enough to it.
He's the best mechanic I think that ship has ever had.
I mean, he's clearly like your dad. Your dad is like, all right, stay in your seat, kid. I was teasing her. That's my daughter. Anyway.
Okay.
You're wound a little tight, aren't you?
It's been a weird couple of days.
All right. Try to take the edge off a little bit. How old are you?
I'm 23.
Yeah, all right. There's whiskey in the cabinet over there. And he like gets
That
up
can't
and
be right.
and
That would make you older than me. There's no way you're older than me.
yeah, they
I'm older
leave.
than you.
They leave during this. And the two of you are alone.
Whatever.
Says
And
so
Maeve starts
on my
putting up
ID. Yeah, he's gonna start cleaning up like the stuff that he can automatically do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. What-oh. Is Della frozen for anyone else, or is it just me?
Am I unfrozen again?
Now
You
you're
are
okay.
unfrozen again.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
That's the short circuits. Being left alone with Maeve.
Right, yeah. Just,
Yeah, all of my nanites just go ping.
Just
But
smack
no.
him upside the head, just a little.
Fuck you, man.
The
That's my
standard
reading
protocol.
Yeah, I start cleaning up the dishes, the things that can be done without having to know where things like
right,
are.
right, yeah. Kind of like an I'll wash you dry.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have any burning questions for each other, I feel like this would be a pretty good time to sort of express them, but otherwise we can cut away and just say you guys clean the dishes in awkward silence.
I mean, Maeve already tried to ask her question of like, what's he getting blackmailed over, and was told that was bad etiquette.
Well, that was when your parents were around. You could revisit the topic now, but use your feminine wiles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Maeve, so tricksy. That's her.
Mm-hmm.
I will cut away while you two do the dishes. Sort of.
I don't think it's in awkward silence though. I think they like start like chatting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
Small talk.
Yeah. It's small talk in jokes.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Talking about how great real food is.
Feels like this is a pretty good opportunity for a little downtime. For the first time in a few days, you finally got a bit of a chance to kick back a little. Have a good meal, pass the time in a manner of your choosing. And I think that's gonna, once I find it in the book, because I know there are only a certain number of things.
It's each player describes how they spend their downtime and shows a short scene or vignette related to it. The Space Master or another player not in the scene may ask you some questions about your downtime and answer them. If you work on a personal project, mark 1 tick on it. If you confront a crew member with a grievance or disagreement, you each may write a hook related to the outcome. Or you can spend time getting closer to a crew member. You each may choose to heal 1 stress or have advantage going forward.
I think Karis and Ellis are going to spend time watching over Neville. And I think this is maybe the first time the two of them have ever really spent time together.
Mm-hmm.
Because clearly Maeve and Jaxper are like hanging out with the Delaney's, and the Delaney's are probably going to be doing, I don't think they're just going to go repair the ship, right? They're doing, stuff around. But both of us have the idea of like, this is a dangerous man, and while we incapacitated him, he needs to be watched. And then we have things that need to happen once he comes back. So it's a lot of like sharing cups of, hospital coffee, and like maybe one of us is going to a local canteen to grab lunch for the two of us. Like, it's not chatty, I don't think. Like, we're not either particularly talkative, but yeah.
It's comfortable.
I do like I'm like loudly slurping on my milkshake, and nearing the end of the milkshake, I will kind of hold it up and offer some over.
Is that?
I'm sorry. Did you want some?
Oh no, thank you. That's awful kind, but no.
I shrug my shoulders. Fine.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's.
And like the trade back is like ostrich jerky or something.
Right.
Like Ellis like gets a bag of like terrible emu jerky or something, and it's just awful. It's awful stuff. And Ellis loves it, and it's like only found on Mars because like that's the only place you're gonna dry emu meat.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, you want a little Shakes his back like a dusty bird jerky.
I also give
I
you.
don't know why you're
a
hating on.
bag
I don't know
of-
why you're hating on emu jerky. It's delicious.
I've never had real emu jerky. I just chose a random animal that I figured you can make jerky out of. It's probably fine. I like all jerky.
You can make jerky
I
out of
also
anything
give,
if you try hard enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And
I will
believe
say
it
the one
yourself.
thing that I was like still not sure if I liked it. I tried tuna jerky once, and I was like, I don't know about this. I just don't. I don't know about this.
Really depends on the cure, and I feel like it's not. That's not a
Yeah.
good way to make. That's not a
Fish
good cure in fish.
Jerky is strange. Like really
Yeah.
highly salted fish can be good.
I will say that whatever that fish was, that cured fish that your husband brought to that ski weekend, Della, I still think
Candied
about that
bluefish?
sometimes.
Yeah, candied bluefish is the boss.
Ooh.
I
It's
still
the
think about
best.
that. Like sometimes, just like God, that would really hit the spot right now.
See, I say that,
Cold
but I'm really
smoked-
into squid jerky, and squid jerky is
Mm.
delicious.
What?
See, that'd be a tough sell. My husband does not eat squid because it is a bait. It's bait. Like it's totally just an association of like
So are
I have
anchovies.
smelled
Anchovies are
boxes.
delicious.
I smelled boxes of this go bad
Yeah, that's fair.
in my tackle box,
Mm-hmm.
and so
See, I've smelled eggs go bad, and I still like eggs though.
yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm surprised you've never had squid jerky. It's a big thing in Korean snack food.
Yeah, not a big fan of dehydrated.
Meat
Meat.
products.
Well, dehydrated squid anyway, or like smoked squid, or like a
It's
smoked
mostly
dried fish.
it's mostly
Ugh.
smoked. I like it. I'm a
Fair.
fan.
They're also
Anyway,
aliens,
you gotta
so
really like that very
They are aliens.
specific fishy.
yeah.
Yeah, it's that super deep like seaweed umami, but also in meat.
So.
You can
Anyway.
talk about this forever.
Yeah.
Hang on, back to the real world.
Welcome
So I
to
offer
our
that to Karis in exchange,
welcome to
like in
our,
a similar exchange of that.
right. welcome to our
Which-
jerky
so the
podcast.
reason for that too was for both of us to relieve us stress. While this is a stressful situation, the two of us are like making the best of it. Like we're gonna spend a couple days in the hospital sharing milkshakes and jerky and
And
you know, keeping an eye
if-
on this asshole. So.
If you both have stress, you can absolutely get rid of it. If you do not have stress, you can instead take advantage going forward.
I will do so. Is there something to mark that on this sheet?
I will
There-
de-stress.
Is not, you kind of just have to remember it or like mark
Yeah,
it.
I'll just
with
throw it under the gear line.
Yeah, you could do that. And is that the same essentially for Jackspur and Maeve, just kind of like doing the dishes together, cleaning up a little bit? Do you partake of the whiskey that Orson told you is in the cabinet?
Hell yeah.
Yes. Yes. I definitely give Maeve some
Right.
and drink. I don't drink much of it, just like a little bit. But I do think he ends up saying at some point to Maeve, "Look, the people that are after me, they want me, and they're going to want as little collateral damage as possible. If I think you guys are in danger, I'm going to run before I let anything bad happen to you guys. So, if I just straight disappear one day, now you know."
I think Maeve would punch him in the arm and be like,
I like that everybody's dead armor.
I'm gonna get a bruise here, and it's never gonna go away. What the fuck do I? It's like, I'm gonna get a tattoo. I'm gonna get a tattoo of a target on my fucking upper arm. Except
Good.
you
Do
guys
it.
won't let it fucking.
Like each of us has a specific spot, so there's like 3 different bruises.
no, I think Maeve
It's
would
definitely
be
that
like,
soft top part.
after punching it, Maeve would be like, if you disappear one day without saying anything, I'm gonna hunt you down so I can kill you myself.
Oh man, fucking don't do that.
Oh man, fucking don't.
Yeah. No.
Wicked bad idea, man. No.
That's wow. I fight auditors in space station corridors, and I think that would be a bad idea.
Pretty sure Maeve still doesn't know that you killed a bunch of auditors, but that's cool.
He said fought, not killed.
I know.
There's you're realizing, Maeve, that there is a lot about that you did not find out about. You're realizing that there were many conversations that happened over the course of the past couple days that you were not privy to.
I think actually she does bring that up. I think she's gonna be like, what happened on that space station that you all haven't told me?
Most of it?
This is why Karis isn't here.
Okay, so you fought auditors. What happened?
Well, see, there was one guy who got in our way and who tried to get to our client, and so we stopped him using minimum available force. There's a lot of force because he was an auditor. And then later there were two other auditors that attacked us outside of his room, and they had also similarly minimum necessary force, and so we killed them. And then we came back to the ship, and then that's when all the sirens went off, and then we got back on the ship, and
You and Karis killed a bunch of Earth Coalition auditors?
Yes.
How?
Mostly, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's mostly Karis, and that's not to shove the blame aside, but like Karis is a fucking badass.
Karis killed auditors too?
No, shit, no. Well, I mean, he was there.
Am I the only person on this ship who hasn't killed an auditor at this point?
I don't know that Ellis has killed an auditor. No, he definitely said he had. Oh yeah.
I mean, it was a while ago, but also yeah.
So yeah. I mean, again, this was not like the plan, right? The plan was take Fuckstick McGee back to his stupid hotel room where he was going to acquire his stupid bullshit, and then we were going to leave again. And that was going to be the thing, and that was going to be great. And, things did not go according to plan. And we fulfilled our part of the contract.
Okay, so let me get this straight. The crew at this point has killed 3 auditors just to protect this guy, who Ellis then proceeded to shoot. So there's a good chance we're not even going to get paid at all for what we just did.
I know. That was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Right in our own kitchen?
I'm going to need you to pour me another glass of whiskey, and then I'm going to need you to shut up for a while, Jaxper.
That sounds good.
I would love to.
I would love to shut up.
It would be my honor to shut the fuck up.
Please accept this glorious liquid. I'm gonna get some
I
water.
will bless you with my silence.
Poor Jaxper.
I now regret having left Jasper alone.
I know, Karis, you could have been here to keep this exact thing from happening.
I'll be honest, that was the player's thought, and then as soon as I realized that Ellis wouldn't be that calculating, I was like, no, he'd be fine with Karis hanging out, and watching the asshole. But I'm like, internally, I'm like, oh my god, Jackson's gonna tell the Delaney's everything, huh?
I personally love
He
this.
didn't tell the Delaney's everything. He told Maeve everything, and he told Maeve everything because Maeve is implicated in all the shit we did.
That's fair. It's 100% true. It was just what I expected. Like, I expected you to get like a good hot meal in you, and for like Cass to be like, "So, how many people you kill?" And for Jackson to be like, "Well, let me tell you about killing." It's been a day. Woo.
Also, the whole idea of not telling Maeve was like, oh, we're trying to protect her from like the darker side of what's happening on the ship. And then you shot a guy in front of her. So that's kind of out the window now.
Listen, I couldn't shoot him quiet.
I should have just let Karis poison him.
We didn't have to shoot him at all.
That would have been an option, yeah. Little did you know that Ellis had his own poison. Lead poisoning.
Lead poisoning. So Karis and so Maeve at a certain point is just like, Jackson, I need you to stop talking. And
more with you, less talking.
Yeah. Karis and Ellis, you were trading off watching the surgery, essentially, right? Or are you you're there together? Yeah,
like we're not strictly taking shifts away from each other. Ellis is trying to pull as much of an all-nighter as he can, but eventually,
he's gonna crash. Right. It has been a stressful couple of days, and I think Karis does end up passing out at a certain point. Ellis, you are kind of feeling yourself drift off as well, but you are woken out of that very light slumber by a noise. You kind of look over and you see that it is dark outside. Though that doesn't necessarily mean anything on Mars, but it is dark outside, and you see Cass Delaney leaning against the door frame of the clinic, and she just kind of like raises two fingers and is like, follow.
Yeah, like stands up and shakes some of the stress out of the joints.
Yeah,
and walks out.
She, when you get to the door, she says, "You mind walking with me?"
Absolutely, Cass.
You've known Cass long enough that you recognize the tone of voice. That's very she's very much got her she and Orson are they have no official title in Nephilim Range.
The mayor hat is on.
Right. Yeah. There are no official titles in Nephilim Range, but yeah, she's very much like she gets this way about two things: Nephilim Range and Maeve.
Right. And this is
yes. So she just has this sort of like deadly calm about her, and you're kind of walking through Nephilim Range, and it's dead quiet at this point. There is nobody out and about. All the buildings are dark and shuttered. You can see the light from the stars, but that's about it. And she says, "Wow, you really stepped in it this time."
Oh, Cass, that is putting it mildly.
I mean, what were you thinking?
To be honest, there wasn't much thought in anything that's happened over the past 3 days. We've been back against one wall or another.
I understand.
The only reason we picked this man up is because we were left out nowhere. I don't know how much Maeve filled you in, but after they took Grace, ship was shot. We barely limped that gate. Needed something to get us back inside the inner worlds, and this was literally the only ticket we had.
Look, she told me enough, and I know we don't know each other super well, Ellis, and I think that's by design. I think we both recognize that we're happier not. But I know how you felt about Grace, and I know you, and I know that I'm sure in the wake of that, you, I'm sure you didn't just blame yourself, but I'm also sure that you blamed yourself.
It was dumb. It was a bad decision. I shouldn't have let her even near that fucking ship.
Sure, but you did.
Yep.
And she might be dead. And she probably is. And I'm sure you're not saying that for Maeve's sake. I'm sure you're saying, who knows, she might still be out there. But she's not, probably. And you know that.
Right.
So what now?
Well, now I find who killed her. And I kill him back.
With what ship?
Well, that's the part we're figuring out. This doesn't have to be the Nephilim. It doesn't have to be Nave. And I don't know how the rest of them feel about it. I know that she's looking to find her, and frankly, if there's a chance of that, I'd like to find her too. I don't know, dead to rights, she's not out there, but I also don't want Maeve involved in anything like this, and she's already half involved. I think Jax owes it to the ship and me, and I know you met him, and he's a good kid, strong kid, but I also know he's got his own battles to fight. I don't know if he wants to get involved in another war, but this is it right now. Somebody, aim for grace, and, well, I'm probably the only one aiming back.
It's all well and good. All the revenge and the blood and the
there ain't nothing
violence.
Good about it.
The satisfaction.
I ain't looking for good. And I ain't looking for satisfaction. I'm just doing what I do.
I don't believe you.
Well, you can interpret my, motives how you like, and that's fair. And I don't take no offense to it. But
I know. See, Ellis, I don't know you, but I know what type of man you are, and I know what it's like when a hound catches the trail, when you catch the scent, and you're lying to yourself if you're saying you don't miss it. It's got to end somewhere.
Well, if this is where it ends for me, I guess that's all right. I just don't want taking down anyone else.
That's my daughter you got out there, Ellis.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons we're here. I got a good mind to leave her here. Yeah, and smart, capable, determined, but young, and don't deserve half of this shit. There's auditors involved now, and I don't know how much they know about her, but I do know that man involved her in something far more dangerous than what we were gunning for. I was going to be looking for clues. Maybe Grace is around. Maybe we get a hint of who this guy Michael is, and I can leave Maeve out of the line of fire.
Mm-hmm.
That man, Sean Neville, decided to ask questions about you, decided to ask questions about Nephilim Range, decided to share those answers and Maeve Delaney with some cabal of other folks he's got a thumb on. And involved in that is my past, Karis's past, and Jaxper's past. And I know it's not necessarily the most clever thought, but if I got one man threatening my people, my best answer is to show him that that's a bad idea. So he's going to wake up, as intended, and he and I are going to have a new conversation about what it means to try and blackmail a man like me, and especially to try and blackmail a woman like Maeve on Mars. So I thought you might want to be involved in that conversation.
Oh, I surely do, and I would like to have a word with him myself, but it sounds to me like what happened was you took a job, you had a problem, and you handled that problem, and I don't have any issue with that. I have to talk to you now, like your goddamn child, about your priorities moving forward, because if you want to leave here on another ship and spend the rest of your life trying to find Grace, who's probably dead, that's fine, but if that's your number one priority, you're not doing it on Nephilim. And that doesn't mean Maeve is staying here, because she's not. She's taking that ship back out there, and she's going to do the same thing. But I need to know that your priorities are 1, keeping the lights on, 2, keeping your crew safe, 3, finding Grace, if that's what it has to be. You got to keep that ship running. You got to make sure everybody's safe and fed. And you got to find a way to do that that doesn't involve costing them their lives. Because, so help me, Ellis, if you kill my daughter.
Don't want.
Now,
I don't even think she should be going back out there.
I let Maeve go out there when she was 15 years old because I knew there was no way I could stop her. And do you know why I did that? Do you know why I let her go? Because she was with Grace. And I knew that Grace's priorities were there. I knew that Grace would keep her safe. I knew that Grace would keep that ship flying. And I knew that ultimately Grace would sacrifice herself before she let anything happen to Maeve. And I don't know if Maeve is going to let you call the shots. I don't know if the rest of the crew has decided that the Nephilim is your ship now. But if you are going back out there with my daughter, that's the way it's going to be. And if it's not, you can leave, but it's not on that ship.
That I respect. I ain't no captain. If anyone owns that ship, it's me. And I ain't trying to take it from them. I ain't aiming to either.
Then make sure they know that.
Fair enough. I'll let you know when he wakes up.
Do that. She walks off.
Yep, back inside.
Snoring.
Huh? Yeah,
Karis is snoring. I think that's really it for the rest of the night. I assume that like at a certain point, Maeve and Jax go to sleep. Cass comes back in later on in the night. Maeve's probably already gone to her room, and I imagine Jax is just kind of sitting there at the table by himself. Cass comes back in after her conversation with Ellis. You can see she's a little tense around the shoulders, but like when she walks in and she sees you're still up, kind of melts away and sort of back into that very calm facade that she had before. Not a facade, but that very calm demeanor that she had before. And she like sort of rolls her shoulders, loosens them up a bit, and she says, "You can stay in one of the guest rooms. I'll show you where it is."
Yeah. Thanks.
You how long has it been since you slept?
While. Got knocked out, but that doesn't really count.
Not quite.
Nope.
You need to sleep. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
You need help?
Sleeping? No, I'm fine. I can do that.
Not everybody can. Some people see things. Some people see things keep them up all manner of night, like their captain. Something happened to him right in front of them, and they can't do anything about it.
You seem like the kind of people who will understand me when I say that that's not exactly the first time that's happened to me. And if that's going to start keeping me up at night, it's going to have to get in line. So, I'm good.
If that keeps happening to you, maybe you should find a new line of work.
Believe me, I have tried. There is something about me, and I am a magnet for stupid situations.
Not much call for a bodyguard on a scrapper ship.
I mean, you'd be surprised. She needed a better one.
She didn't need a bodyguard at all. You may have noticed nobody's exactly surprised that happened. Grace was always tight-lipped about where she came from, but it was pretty clear to anyone with an eye in their head that she was running. Always. It's bound to catch up with her eventually, so really there was nothing you could do about it. You should get some sleep, but I'll speak plainly, because I'll be honest with you. You seem nice enough. You don't seem like the brightest boy I've ever met.
He looks like he wants to be offended, but just like I know my lane.
Grace was a capable woman. Ellis is a dangerous man. Maeve is she's young and doesn't know her way around a fight, but she's resourceful. Don't know much about your other friend, but he by all accounts he's dangerous. My point is that Grace had no reason to bring on a crew member whose sole purpose was to keep her safe. If she brought you onto that crew, if she gave you a place to stay, it was because you needed a place to stay. Not because you owed her something, not because she wanted you to keep her safe.
I know.
Right.
But she made that very clear, and I was appreciative.
Right?
Yeah.
You said this isn't the first time this happens, so you know she's probably dead.
Every time I run the numbers on that, I come up with a different percentage chance that she's still alive. It's never higher than 20, which is pretty good. I will say that's pretty good. 20 is pretty good. It's usually way lower, and that's really weighting the Michael wants to see you, weighting the assumption that they mean alive, that he wants to talk to her, pretty heavily.
It's a big assumption.
It's a really big assumption. You take that assumption out, and we're looking at 2%.
Run the numbers all you want. But if you're going to be out there with my kid, you got to figure out what you want to do next. Because it's not what you were doing before. She's gone. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. She closes the door, and night passes. Jax, were you doing anything?
I'm going to basically just tell my nanites, like, you fucking drive. Please just knock me out. Like, let the organic parts just sleep, and you go dormant. Do whatever you need to do. Like, do a proper recharge cycle.
Right, yeah, you lay down and then pretty much just like switch off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is the next day. Time passes, and Ellis, you don't. I think Ellis successfully pulls an all-nighter, especially after that conversation with Castellani, and I imagine you're kind of spending a lot of time. This really gives you something to think about, that conversation, and what your next move is going to be. And the doctor comes out of the room in the early hours of the morning while Karis is still knocked out, similarly peeling the gloves off of her hands and cleaning. She's wiping her hands off as she's clearly scrubbed out. And she nods her head to the room. She sort of seems surprised to see you sitting there, and nods her head in the room and says, well, he's up.
He's awake?
He's awake.
Damn, dog. I figured he'd be out for a couple of days.
Hasn't it been like 4?
No.
Oh, it's been like 18 hours.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is wild.
Yeah. I mean, this is, future medicine, but yes.
Oh, no, I'm not arguing with the mechanics of it. I mean,
Yeah.
Ellis is surprised, too. Like, shit, I thought he was going to be in a coma or, like, unconscious for a while.
Wasn't sure he was going to wake up, but Here we are.
Yeah, it did seem a little touch and go. All right. Well, I think I need to make a house call before I go in to have a chat. So I'll shake Karis awake. Be like, all right, keep an eye on the door. Yeah, no, you're all right. It's okay. Fine. We're still in the hospital. It's okay. Watch the door for a minute. I gotta see a man about a horse. And then Alice is gonna run off and wake up Ma Delaney, who I assume like finished the conversation with me and then went to bed. Like,
yeah, for sure, for sure.
What she did. So I need to go find Cass and be like, all right, let's go have our fun conversation. And so I could probably walk in on,
I think you can see.
awake.
I think you can see her as you like approach the Delaney residence, because there's that one addition that they just built recently that's pretty much made out of it's either like glass or clear plastic, you're not sure, but it is clearly, you can see inside the like hydroponic greenhouse, and she's just kind of working away in there, and as she sees you approaching down the road, she'll come out and kind of like wipe like dust her hands off on her pants and say, "You wait."
He's up.
Let's go. And as you're walking towards the, if she's the only one you're getting as you're walking towards the clinic, she's just gonna.
If she wants to get anyone else, I'll be like, is there anybody else we need? I don't think that Maeve and Jaxford need to be there for that conversation. I don't even know if Karis wants to be there for that conversation, because basically it's going to be a rehash of what happened at the table anyway. It's just like, hey, you need to know that there's different stakes here now.
Right.
Karis is gonna want to be there for the conversation, in case he has to like deflect any further questions about it.
Sure.
Yeah, and you're gonna be awake and you're at the hospital.
Yeah.
She looks back at the house and says, "Nah, they're both sleeping. No reason to bother them." As you're walking towards the clinic before you meet back up with Karis, she is going to say, "I don't need to remind you what happens if you put him down in my town."
Oh no, I shot the round I needed to. Everything from here on out is going to be above the tape.
All right. Yeah, you get to the to the clinic, and Karis, you've kind of just still sitting there. But you round the corner into the room, and you see Rashawn Neville. He's covered by kind of a scratchy looking hospital blanket. Clearly, like shirt is off. You can sort of see some bandages peeking out from under the blanket. He is very pale, almost like chalk white. A little weak. His eyelids are droopy, but he seems sort of aware of his surroundings, and he sees you as you walk in, and he sort of feebly like raises a hand to you, Ellis.
So I'm gonna let Cass and Karis ahead of me, and then close the door behind them.
Sure.
Does the door have a lock?
No, it does not have a lock.
Okay, not a problem. And then Mr. Neville, you're up and about. How's that Martian blood treating you?
He chuckles very, very weakly, and then like winces in pain as he does so, and he says, "I underestimated you."
I think you estimated me exactly where you wanted to, but I think that you maybe made some miscalculations in the new environment you find yourself. You are no longer a man of the Earth Coalition playing politics. Out here we play with live rounds. This is Castellane. She is important to your life going forward. And I would recommend you do not make the same mistake you did with the Nephilim crew. Why don't you say hello?
He kind of looks down at himself and then looks back up at her and is like, "Lovely to meet you. Wish it were under different circumstances."
So we like if Cass isn't going to take charge, then like Alice is going to obey.
Yeah,
I think
she's absolutely kind of just hanging back and clearly kind of saving her piece for the end.
Sure. So I think that we find ourselves in the same negotiation under different circumstances. You have some things that we want. We have some things you need. You have some threats. We have demonstrated our capacity to encounter those threats. So, I would like to reintroduce myself as we sit down at the new negotiating table. My name is Carlos Maldonado, and I'd like to, or Maldonado, and I'd like to conclude our business, Mr. Neville. Hopefully to both of our benefit and continued safety. I hold out a hand, like a big, rough, calloused hand.
He looks at it and just kind of like shakes his head a little bit and says, yeah, seems agreeable.
All right.
It's like sort of, again, very kind of like weakly waves his hand out and says, Sean Neville. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Charmed, I'm sure. Now, we have gotten you where you wanted to go, and we've actually gotten you to even where you spoke of going with me. Not necessarily to all of our liking. And details of that, hold on, the details of that are going to be between you and the local administration, perhaps. But I do think be kept safe here. I do think you can be kept secret here. And I do agree with you that if you're trying to avoid Earth Coalition and attention from that kind of authorities, you have chosen a good place to be. I understand that there were some discrepancies in the way things were handled on both sides. Some things were not said, some things were oversaid, some people got shot. That's a shame. Now, at this point, I'd like to maybe wipe the slate a little clean. Maybe your medical bills get taken care of. Maybe you forget some things you know about people that you should know. How's that sound?
Well, it was never my intention to release any of the information that I had.
And a threat's a threat, though, Mr. Neville.
It is, and it's always a shame when one has to follow through. Riley looks down at his torso.
Ain't it, though?
But such is the cost of doing business. I will be perfectly candid with you, Mr. Maldonado. It's possibly a little late for that, but it was never my intention to come to Nephilim range. I was using a common negotiation tactic, and I was hoping, in fact, right before you discharged your firearm into my gut, to propose redirecting and setting down in Independence. And you would know that Independence Mars is the largest. It's one of the only fully fledged cities on Mars.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's not a bad idea either, and we can certainly arrange transport elsewhere on Mars. But I would perhaps critique your particular negotiation acumen, Mr. Neville, as it has resulted in you experiencing a significant amount of blood loss. So perhaps going forward, you'll be a little more forthright with the, nature of your business. Because I want to mention, as you correctly assumed, that if it were not for a bullet wound in your gut, and a particularly clumsy young man, we would not be having this conversation.
Are you attempting to renegotiate the terms of your contract? Are you trying to get more money?
Absolutely.
No, this is not him asking. This is me asking.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm just trying to, straighten the contract out to the point where we get our money, he goes where he wants to go, and all of the blackmail bullshit gets wiped away to Karis's satisfaction, which was going to be the next place that I go. Is like, you're going to eliminate all of that, and the guy who knows whether or not it has been is going to check your work. Like, you're not going to get to just, press a button on a pad and say, yeah, nobody knows.
I will happily do so. I think there are resources available here that I could make use of to reach independence myself. And he looks over at Castellani, and she nods, like, yep, definitely. He says, I am just as eager as you are, Mr. Maldonado, to end our business.
Agreed. And so I'll, like, pull his bag out, be like, want to get you back with your family as soon as possible. Lovely looking children, by the way. Karis, why don't you help Mr. Neville with his arrangements? And then I'll step out into the hallway, because as far as I'm concerned, my part's done. Like,
okay. Cass is going to keep an eye on Karis throughout this interaction.
Yeah, I assume she wants to chat with him too.
Yeah, well, yeah, she will chat with him, and she will sort of explain some of the rules of Nephin range, which is pretty commonplace for like people who find themselves there, newcomers. And she says we'll put you up. You can seek passage to independence. There's convoys that pass through every so often. If not, we can arrange special transport, but it's going to cost you. And he's like, of course, money is no object. It's mostly business talk, but yeah, he will take the handheld and he will basically wipe the data from it.
And Karis is like, I don't know if that's a roll or if like Karis is just going to know that like it's all gone.
He does it in front of you, Karis, and it's not like you're pretty sure he's not faking it. Essentially, that doesn't mean that he doesn't know it, but he does turn off the like dead man switch, for lack of a better phrase. He would talk to as he's doing so, he would talk to Karis. Is Ellis going somewhere, or are you just sort of waiting outside?
I'm right outside the door.
Okay, all right, cool.
Like, literally eavesdropping.
Okay, all right. So yeah, he will, as he's wiping that data from the handout, he will say, if you don't mind my saying so, you may want to revisit the chain of command in your spaceship.
Why is that?
I'm a criminal, Mr. Mori. I'm a criminal, and these negotiation tactics that I used, while not ideal, while not my first choice, are commonplace. If you will be operating as a crew with jobs and contracts similar to this one, while you are attempting to find our old friend Grace, this will happen many more times. I want you to understand just how close you came because of Ellis Maldonado to losing everything Grace had built. Is this my fault? Yes. But you accepted the contract, and that makes it yours as well. I understand this has been a scrapper vessel for some time now, and maybe he's become unfamiliar with the rules. But in the grand scheme of the worlds, of space, of the deep, you are small fish. And the more often you snap at larger ones, the closer you come to being wiped off the face of existence and never finding Grace. I'm not saying this to threaten you.
This feels like a threat.
I will be out of your life in a matter of moments, and hopefully the same goes for you. But what I am telling you is that I am an understanding man, and I recognize in your friend Ellis someone who has been kicked just often enough that they snap back on instinct. If you want to swim with the big fish, Mr. Mori, cooler heads will have to prevail.
I think we'll manage just fine.
I hope that's true. I know that ship meant a great deal to Grace, as I'm sure all of you did as well.
That's a lot of past tense for a man who doesn't know what happened to Grace.
Assumptions are being made, but they're not necessarily wrong.
Yeah. I personally love the idea that Neville thinks he's Big Fish. And that, like, doesn't understand that 100% what Alice was calling was like, no, you idiot. The reason I was going to kill you is because you're a mid-level bass who decided to fuck with the whale that is the Earth Coalition. If it had just been you versus a gun runner and some asshole middle management, like, yeah, fine, whatever. Everyone plays in the pool together. But, like, you decided to drag us into a fight with the goddamn national government of the Earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know that I'm necessarily ready to call Neville a mid-level fish, because I don't know him yet. I don't know anything else. So,
but yeah, that's Ellis's interpretation, right? Is it like, if you're coming to us on the middle of a ring gate, you have enough money to get to the ring gate, but you don't have enough money to like hire a fleet of people to take you wherever you want to go, or you don't have enough pull to do all of that. From my character, my impersonation, is that he's a guy who's been like trading favors and blackmail against like mid-level interriders. Like, yeah, I've encountered these people before. They think they have something on everyone.
There's that, but I think
it's a possibility, but
yeah, I think Karis is also probably thinking like it is either as Ellis says, or the reason he came to us and the reason he's keeping things cool is because he needs to fly as close to under the radar as possible. So that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not important. He's without, like a sphere of influence. So I guess to like protect ourselves from him any further, Karis is going to make a gambit and I guess flash the photo that he has of Neville and his family. And I for their sake, I hope this is the last time we ever have to deal with each other.
If I have my way, it will be.
And I knock on the door and just say, we're ready.
Okay. All right. Cass Delaney stays behind just to talk to him a little bit more. There's definitely, she definitely has a few words with him just about, making it clear that, Maeve is her daughter. And, he did, threaten her. And if he puts, basically, if he says the wrong thing, if he breathes the wrong way, she made the rules of Nephin Range, and she can break the rules of Nephin Range. Nobody's going to yell at her. Yeah, so, Karis comes out of the office, or of that exam room, and, Ellis is just kind of waiting right there. You heard all of that, and what are you two, what's your next move? It's still pretty early, so presumably Jaxper and Maeve are still asleep, but...
Yeah, I think Ellis's next move is he's like, all right, time for a bite and a nap. All right, deal's done. Karis has solved the problem. Neville made some other dumb threats, but not shooting threats, and Cass is going to handle getting him the fuck out of our hair.
Yeah,
all right.
But did we get paid?
Yeah, Karis is going to want to confirm payment.
Yeah. I mean, when he had the handheld, he would have asked you for your bank codes or whatever, and he would have transferred the units to you, which is sort of that universal currency.
And I want milkshake credits.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna grab a bite and then grab a nap, and I am gonna BRB because I gotta do a thing real quick.
Okay.
But you guys feel free to continue.
We will wrap up very shortly. We'll do the ship's payment move. Let's take a short break, and then we'll come back and we'll just finish that up because I also really have to pee.
Same.
All right, cool. We'll be right back. Thanks for hanging out with us. See you in 2 seconds. All right, we are back. Thanks for sticking with us, and we're just gonna wrap everything up real fast, and then call it a day until the Sunday after this coming Sunday. So you all have completed your contract. The money has been transferred into like honestly probably Grace's account, and you you have that. So that means that the next thing we have to do, as you all sort of gather up. Ellis and Karis, you were going to go to the local saloon, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And yep. And you are you sort of like telling, like, are you trying to do this just the two of you, or are you trying to get everybody back together?
Oh yeah, I would like hit up
Okay.
Maeve and Jack,
Right.
I guess, whatever the intercom thing
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Like, hey, we sorted all the problems out. Everything's great now.
And
Does everybody on Mars have a beeper instead of a personal handheld device?
No, they don't. Though a lot of them have been modified to be like untraceable and
Like
things
Alice's.
like that. Yeah, like Alice's. Yeah. So like the things that you see, the handhelds and things that you do see are probably bulkier, just because they are sort of like slapdash thrown together, not to look good, but to like do what they want them to do. And I imagine Jaxper, every time you sleep, you kind of wake up brand new, because like the nanobots are constantly repairing you while you sleep, and like, you know, they're recharging in the process. So
yeah. So he made that joke about bruises on his arm, but when he comes downstairs, you don't see anything.
I feel like anyone our age can only dream of Jaxper levels of waking up and being like, wow, I feel great.
Yeah, I drank a lot of whiskey last night, but it's fine.
Right.
It's fine.
Right.
I had that one sip of water, sorted it right out.
Sorted.
Exactly. So, and then like you can wake up Maeve too, although I imagine Maeve is a little bit of a heavier sleeper. Yeah, and I imagine it's very nice for Maeve. Well, is it not? What is it like for Maeve being home after all of the chaos of the last week or so? Grace going missing or dying, the Nephilim getting dragged back to the ring gate, trying to negotiate the repairs, trying to do it yourself but not having the materials, finding out that there was no way to get further credit from the Scrappers Union, which Grace had probably not shared with you, that her credit was maxed out. And then like all of this bullshit with Neville, the auditors, the Earth Coalition. And now you just like have this warning of waking up in your childhood home and your bed, and your parents are not there, but like around. Yeah. What is that like for Maeve?
I think she was moving on autopilot all this time of just focus on the problem right in front of you. And that's not going to work anymore because at this point.
Right. Well, and you just found out that like your crewmates said, not only did you see Ellis shoot this man in front of you for basically, like, as far as you know, no reason, but then like you found out that Jaxper and Karis both killed a whole bunch of people. And like this was not something that happened in the crew before this. Like Grace, like there was maybe an occasional bar fight or something like that, but like Grace pretty much never had to use a firearm or anything like that, as far as you know. And like same with Ellis. But all of a sudden there's just all of this chaos and everything. Is there any temptation for Maeve to stay here?
No, because in her mind, she still needs to find out what happened to Grace.
Okay.
But I think that's about the only thing that's still compelling her to go back out at this moment. Because right now, she's actually kind of not feeling that great about the rest of the crew. Of just, especially like Alice, it's one thing if she had found out that like Jaxper and Karis had kill the auditors. She's only known them so long. She already didn't trust Karis.
Right.
But like the fact that Ellis has gone kind of off the deep end as well, of like doesn't feel like she knows anybody on the crew anymore, and they're keeping her in the dark. And how is she supposed to be able to find Grace if they just keep causing more problems and breaking the ship more?
Yeah.
And they're just gonna make it harder to figure this out. It's like they don't even care.
That's true. It is like they don't even care. And speaking of the devil, because Ellis has sort of pinged you. Basically, say, I imagine like Ellis, it's the equivalent of a text message. So I imagine Ellis is sort of like, a very
it's in
much
full
like
boomer speak. It's like breakfast with like the wrong emojis.
Saloon. Breakfast, period. Saloon, period.
Right.
Unrelated emojis.
Unrelated emoji. Smiling poop emoji, rain cloud.
Like a gun emoji and then just oops.
Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe not that one.
But yeah,
too soon to laugh about that.
We have
It's
fun
fine.
So you, I assume you're going. You're both heading to the saloon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you kind of like run into each other out in the hallway as you go. There's go ahead.
It's really nice to sleep in like a real bed. Holy shit. Your folks are super nice.
I mean, yeah, as long as you stay on their good side, they are.
I do not plan on getting on their bad side because they are also completely fucking terrifying.
That's generally the right assessment, I'd say. Yeah.
How has Ellis known them for that long and doesn't know how to fucking cook, man? Your folks can cook.
I mean, I'm pretty sure at this point he's just incapable of learning.
That actually seems completely reasonable. I think they kind of chat like that, like
right, yeah. Something about old dogs, new tricks,
Mm-hmm.
But you chat as you head to the saloon, and it's pretty it's a pretty peaceful day in Nephin Range. People are going about their business. There's like a ship coming in as you are heading to the saloon. Maeve, you don't recognize it, so it's probably just like somebody passing through trying to unload their illicit cargo. And yeah, you sort of walk in, and there is a small group of people that are taking their breakfast here. Like a family that you also don't recognize. Maeve, they must be like recent settlers, recent residents. There's somebody passed out at the bar who clearly never went home. Just bar things, and you sit down for breakfast, and yeah, you can chat about stuff. Go ahead. What do you do, Maeve, as you walk in and you sort of just see Ellis and Karis sitting at a table together sipping coffee, and Ellis tips you a little bit of like a salute.
I think Maeve sits down and yeah, I think the first thing she asks is so he lived?
Yep. And we got paid. And Karis wiped clean his insurance policy. Oh, and your ma talked to him. Gonna be shipping him off to Independence, apparently.
Okay.
How'd your night go?
I mean, our night went fine. We had good home cooked meal. Got to sleep in real beds.
Ooh.
On the subject of payment, as we are figuring that out, you all have a move you have to roll.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what's the quality level of our contract?
So yeah, this was deadly +1.
Ooh.
Okay.
Because he knew that there were auditors involved.
Okay.
So he did know that it would be more dangerous. So yeah, this is your ship payment move payday, which means that one of you gets to roll contact rating, plus contract rating. So 2d6 plus 1.
I'm gonna vote that Maeve roll it because the rest of us have been rolling like shit.
Agreed.
Yes. She also has the strongest connection to the ship. So.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Oh, don't forsake me, Dice Maiden.
Forsaken.
Good
And
news
I don't
about
even
this,
get to
though.
roll potential.
You get to mark XP, I think.
I do?
all get to mark XP?
No, I
the
think Maeve
ship mark
does.
XP?
It's a roll that you failed. I think you get
That's
to mark
true.
XP.
That's true.
But unfortunately, on a 6-, it's a setup or raw deal. You either walk away with a token payment and choose 1, or choose 2 and deal with an enemy that's found you and wants to settle things now.
So y'all can pick. It's not, in this case, it is not a setup or a raw deal. It is just indicative of how much shit you've put this ship through to get to this point. And yeah.
Okay, I was getting ready to find the kids.
Right. I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna have to kill Noel's kids. That sucks, man.
It's not a raw deal, though.
What's wrong with you people?
I think retroactively.
Karis is an assassin.
I think retroactively at this point in the meal, I am going to say, that Cass Delaney does walk into the bar and make a beeline for your table and sit down across from you, and he's going to say, "Well, you know the rules."
I don't know the rules.
Yeah, I know. She's just saying that, and I honestly don't think that this has ever come up for Ellis before. So I don't actually think Ellis does know this rule, but she, at the sort of blank expression on your face, she says, "You shot that man. You brought him to my town. Potentially brought the weight of the Earth Coalition down on top of us.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying for his medical bills."
Oh, yeah, no, I assume that.
Can Karis interject?
Sure.
With his mouth full of, I don't know, whatever breakfast food they're serving.
Breakfast milkshake.
The nano bros are just there, like shoveling their faces up fully in their bowls, just like shoveling stuff into their mouths fast.
Actually, Karis is eating chilaquiles.
Okay.
And just with his mouth full, says that the Earth Coalition's taken care of.
Yeah.
What, like holistically?
With like egg yolk dripping from.
Oh God. I think Maeve would be like looking at Ellis and be like, "Yeah, Jaxper filled me in on that whole problem last night when we were chatting."
I just want to be clear. Don't forget to get Laura her payment.
Yes, ma'am.
She nods at you and leans across the table, kisses Maeve on the forehead, and says, "Have a good day, honey," and leaves.
I know.
So what I'm
so are
hearing
we choosing 2 and one of them is hospital bills?
So part of the reason why the payment is lower than you expected was because of the hospital bills. It's still up to you if you pick 1 or 2, but if you pick 2, you're basically giving me carte blanche to create an enemy finding you scenario.
And I'll just rattle off the options real quick. It's keep the wolves at bay, reduce debt by 1, reset the debt fuse. You pay the maintenance cost for your ship, reset the maintenance fuse. You get the ship patched up, remove all damage from the ship. You purchase an upgrade for your ship. You go shopping for a new vehicle and roll test drive. You fill your ship's cargo hold with lucrative goods for sale elsewhere. Roll lucrative exports to determine what cargo is available. And you divide the spoils for some walking around money. Each crew member rolls on Hey Big Spender.
I don't think we have much choice. It's going to be remove the damage from the ship.
So
I don't know about that. I'm gonna say that, and I think Jaxper is actually going to suggest. So I know we need to get the ship fixed up eventually, but it seems like we're in a good place to get work, like planet-side work. Why don't we pay off the Scrappers Union, pay off our debt? That way, when we get flying, we don't have to take the first job that comes to us.
Well, our debt is just an FYI. Our debt is 20.
So we
not,
would pay 1/20th.
not technically true. 20 is the number of payments, but the way that you represent paying off your debt is with the debt fuse. So when you complete a contract, we mark 1 on the debt fuse. Gotcha. If you choose to pay off your debt for this, then you are basically negating that debt fuse. But nothing bad really happens to you until you hit 5 debt on the fuse. At that point, their disposition drops, and that will affect you in the future. And they also do a bad thing to you, which can be like sending someone after you to collect the money by force, seizing an asset as collateral, or selling your location to someone that wants to find you.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just what Jaxper's going to suggest is like, look, why don't we? We don't have a lot of money.
And we don't have a line on where they took Grace.
We don't have that. But Grace came here a lot. Maybe there's people here who know. Maybe those of you who like know this area can maybe find some more stuff out.
That's fair. It's not like we're heading anywhere immediately.
Exactly. This is not a bad place to hang. So why don't we pay off our debts, make up some money, and then you get another job and here and use that to fix up the ship. You know?
Not a bad idea.
Because if we can do that, then
I'm going to jump in and say that Maeve, you would probably that's not a bad idea. Maeve, you would probably know that in terms of work, you're going to have a lot more luck, both in like finding something and finding something that pays well in a place like Independence.
Yeah.
But travel to Independence is significantly cheaper. That's like train tickets, as opposed to like, we need to fix the boat.
Absolutely.
Ride over the moon.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
so
generally always work in Independence.
Yeah, as opposed to like paying the debt track down from 20 to 19, we could also say like we might want to take the walking around money to try and use it to try and grease palms to find where Grace is.
Maybe get some tactical packs.
Yeah, maybe not to like buy, milkshakes for a tactical number of milkshakes, but maybe for like, and also train tickets to get to Independence, etc.
I think yeah, that's also possible. I'm just trying to think like,
because Hugo's not looking for us yet. That debt's solid, but we are gonna have to pay him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking like, I don't really know how to say this, but I feel like we got short-term problems and we got like long-term problems, and I feel like if we keep like smashing our faces into short-term problems, we're gonna get real fucked up if we don't start looking at long-term problems. So I'm just thinking like, what is the one long-term problem that we can do something about right now, and that is keep paying off the scrappers.
Sure. It's very wise.
That's all I'm thinking.
And keep in mind also, Hugo did give you an extension.
That's also true. But yeah, no, the big point is going to be, well, she's your ship, Maeve. I'd say the call is yours.
I just drive.
I mean, Maeve wants to get that ship fixed up so that she can get back out there and find Grace.
Yeah, as far as Ellis is concerned, like, it's Maeve's ship.
So if you leave it up to Maeve, Maeve is going to pick maintenance on the Nephilim.
Maintenance or repair?
Repair. I mean, I think it is.
Because there's like maintenance, reset the maintenance fuse, fix all the damage. I don't know which one this counts as.
It's going to be remove all damage from the ship, because we didn't actually like track the damage that you guys took. It was basically just like the ship is out of commission, but it would basically be that one. Your maintenance fuse is fine right now. Okay. But yeah, we will have to. You'll have to get it flying again, essentially.
Get it back up and flying, because so as the actual mechanic, I'm voting for we do 2, and we get the spending money and we fix the ship with the idea of like, we're the idea being like, while it's getting fixed, because as Orson said, it's going to be a while of dry dock because there's a lot to fix but we need the money to start doing that now. While we go to Independence and maybe find some like Earth's, like some planet side jobs we can do to get some money and whatnot. We also are going to be asking out Grace, but if we get that info, we don't want to then start fixing the ship. We want to be able to go then, because any info we get may already start getting old by the time we get it. So
that's fair. That also does literally invite an enemy to find us and settle the score.
Yes, it does.
Which
Sure
is
does.
great.
In character, we don't know that. I think
Right.
Jaxper's nanites, the reason Jaxper was like, oh, let's just do one thing, is that his nanites are in his head being like, squirrel away resources.
Right.
Yeah.
Be a weird little
Save
dragon.
money.
Be a weird little nano dragon on your weird little nano horde.
Nope. No time to be cautious. We need to get the ship fixed and we need to find Grace, and so we need to do both these things and we need to do them now.
Okay.
Yep.
Karis gave you extra nanites for your nanite horde.
I don't know about that, and if I do learn about that, I'm going to be so mad.
It's true. So that means you are picking fixing the ship, starting that process, because it is still going to take a little while, and Hey Big Spender.
Yeah.
Which are both interesting for our ongoing story as well.
They are. I think that's a great choice. And then with you thought to head to Independence.
Yes.
Very cool. I love that. Do we want to do...
The
So
Hey
we're not
Big
gonna
Spender
do-
move now.
We're not going to do shopping on stream just because I don't know how interesting that would be. But if you want to roll and see what you have to work with, and then we could do it off stream, go for it.
Okay.
That would be plus disposition with the local vendors or contacts. If you are shopping in Nephilim range, which I imagine you might be.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Let me get to the section here where we talk about settlements. It's contracts and PCs. Okay, cool. There we go. Disposition. Yeah. This is you are Nephilim range is bonded. So I'm gonna say you can roll because you are with Maeve here in her hometown, you can roll Hey Big Spender with +2.
Yeah.
2d6
Hell yeah.
+2.
Oh sure, now Dice Maiden plays nice.
Nope. Still does not.
Yeah, Maeve
I
gets
mean,
a 13. That
Jaxper
tracks.
doesn't need much, you know.
Yeah. I
Uh-huh.
think
The good news about Hey Big Spender is that it is one of those moves where you get something even if you fail.
I also
Yes.
actually in-game love the fact that Ellis and Maeve are the ones that rolled highest because they've been here before. Like Maeve
true.
in particular, it's her
I know where to
town.
find the
But
things.
Ellis has
yeah.
been around here like multiple times with
Yeah.
Grace and Maeve. So
Yep.
versus the actual first timers are the ones who rolled lowest. And to me, I just like that.
I think
Okay.
it also makes sense for Jaxper because a lot of the things that are on here are things he just can do by himself.
Yeah. And I think we can also say that that's an expression of like if Jaxper were to take a what do they call it? Like a modification, like a cybernetic thing or whatever, we would just say that that's part of your nanites doing a new thing. But
Right.
if you got a 10 plus on Hey Big Spender, you can purchase one item from the specialist or black market list, and you can choose 3 options from the list on the move. On a 7 to 9, you choose 2. On a 6, you only have access to the basics, you choose 1. But if you get a 6 minus or a 7 to 9, you can take an extra, but it's going to take you long enough that I get to burn the fuse on an episode strain, which is a ongoing threat that's sort of looming above you until it finds you. So if you want to buy, if you rolled a 6 minus or a 7 to 9 and you want to get an extra one, you can do that. Just know that you are potentially bringing danger down upon the group. Totally up to you. But like I said, we'll handle all of that off stream. The only other thing we have to figure out is this is the end of an episode. So we have one last thing to do. Let me just get to where we have episode moves. Or rather, they're called plot moves. There we go.
I still mark an XP from a failed roll, right?
Yeah. Anytime you roll a 6 minus, you can mark an XP.
Sweet. Advancing.
Hell yeah.
Okay. We're going to go around and ask these questions. Did you complete a mission or contract?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you learn something new and important about the universe?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
What'd you learn?
I saw
we learned about independence. We learned that Neville has a family. Got a family to feed. Soup for his family.
This is about the universe, though. Like, I don't know that you... Huh?
That impacts us, because it impacts our going
You know,
forward.
but I think the main thing that we learned is that we're swimming in very different waters now.
Mm-hmm.
And we've learned a little bit about the nature of those waters.
Yeah, that's true. I wouldn't say that it applies to this move just because I think, or not this move, this question, because the intent of this question is like sort of about the universe as the largest entity. Like, is there some sort of vast conspiracy? Is there something about the nature of space itself or travel or one of the like superpowers of the universe that you've learned about? It's not necessarily about, did you learn something about personal things that affect your characters or just the fact that like we are in a dangerous situation.
I guess we learned more about the nature of auditors, but yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, this is very much like this was our first episode, so I don't think there's anything wrong with it being sort of on a smaller scale. Did you make a new enemy or thwart an existing enemy? Obviously, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And was there a big moment that hinged on a crucial role?
It's like
there,
5.
Yeah, there absolutely was. Neville came so close to dying until Karis saved him. So
after
that means
Karis put his life in danger and Jaxper saved him.
So that means that everybody gets 3 XP.
Oh. Which means I advance.
It sure does.
So close to advancing.
So there are plenty of things that are gonna shake out off stream. We don't have to worry about any of that right now. Maeve, you are keeping the ship sheet, right?
I am.
Okay, mark the debt fuse because you didn't choose that option.
That's fair.
Though that's not necessarily a bad thing. You can mark the debt fuse like 5 times before it comes back on you. So, all right, we're going to call it there for today. Thank you so much for joining us. If you watched, if you donated, if you liked what you saw, please join us again next Sunday where our other concurrent game will be happening. It's like a Call of Cthulhu pulp adventure. It's a lot of fun, and then we'll be back 2 Sundays from now. Both shows raising money for Extra Life. So, keep coming back. Follow us on Twitter. Feel free to join the Discord for scheduling updates. We're doing a new thing right now where we're sometimes playing video games. I don't know. It's fun.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks for joining us. And with that, we are gonna sign out, and I will take us on out. Everybody, have a good night.